The Plotaholics podcast is not meant to make light of those with an actual serious addiction. If you have an actual serious addiction, the Plotaholics podcast should not be used as a replacement for treatment. If you are not in a treatment program for substance abuse, and you are somehow still offended, then fuck you too. Sincerely, your hosts.
Well, hello there, everybody. Welcome to the Plotaholics live, pre-recorded Thanksgiving Spectacular, the pop culture we're thankful for 2019. I am your host on this journey, Shane Wilson. I am joined, as always, but only periodically today, with my co-host Brian Tan. He'll be popping in and out periodically to help me with these segments. But you know, what is the holiday without a little sing-along? So let's get into it with the Plotaholics theme song. Welcome, everybody.
Take a trip with us to Nilbog. Just promise not to drink the goo.
Oh my God!
If you get sucked into the Matrix, we will sing the phone for you.
Do you believe in fate?
But every movie has a plot hole, and every hole gets filled somehow with whiskey, wine, or blue milk. Just don't cut me off right now. We're the Plotaholics, a breakfast club of two. We're the Plotaholics, ripping plots apart for you.
Yo, it's going to be kind of a different sort of show today because mostly it's super long. I'm happy that you're spending any part of it with us that you are. This being the beginning. Over the next few hours, we'll be checking in with some of the old favorites of the show, old friends of the show, like Compton and Katie Salidas. We'll also be spending a little bit of time talking to listeners of the show. You'll know some of them from the comment sections. These are people that we decided that we wanted to give them an opportunity to be a part of the Plotaholics holiday special as well, because they've been so supportive of us in our first year. So you'll see some of those faces out there. You'll also see a couple of other little segments here and there. We've got some cocktail corners thrown in there with some fandom thematic drinks and whatnot. So, you know, very on brand, I think. But regardless, that I don't want to take up a whole lot of your time here. I'm going to send it off to our very first segment, which is me again. And of course, Brian Tan talking a little bit about the things that we're thankful for in the pop culture realm from the past year. Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Plotaholics live, pre-recorded Thanksgiving Spectacular 2019.
Yep.
Thank you.
Boom. Yeah.
The pop culture we're thankful for. Brian, I think, first of all, we have to say that we're thankful for the Plotaholics podcast.
Absolutely. This has been such an amazing ride so far this year, and it's only going to get better. I mean, oh my goodness. We've had a lot of ups, couple of little divots, but it has been such an amazing experience.
Yeah, I think that if you look at the general trajectory of things, we have to be pretty excited about where we're headed.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, come on, we're up to episode, like, just from regular podcasts, episode like 25. Not a lot of podcasts get that far.
That's right. Yeah, so we're humming right along, and Brian, pretty soon we're going to have to start looking at laying out our first quarter of 2020 programming.
Yeah, that's gonna be fun. Yeah, we're gonna have to do that here in December. We're gonna have to.
Yeah, so
Plotaholics staff meeting.
That's right. Get everybody together.
Yep.
I mean, we're here now, so do you just want to do it now?
Might as well. What else are we gonna do?
We have a quorum. So
That's true. That's true.
But no, today is about kicking back and relaxing. And, some of the people that were a little like some of our listeners were a little hesitant about coming on for this special because they didn't really know what to expect out of this conversation. And I told them, I said, it's basically like if you were just hanging out at Thanksgiving with your buddies, having a couple of drinks and just shooting the shit about your favorite movies and TV shows for the last year.
Absolutely.
So that's really what we're doing today. This is not overly analytical or anything like that.
No, just what we enjoy, what we're happy about with 2019, because 2019 has been a shit show.
Yeah.
However,
but thank God for these pop culture properties to give us a way to sort of escape for little pieces of time.
Absolutely.
And so over the course of the next couple of hours, you will see some familiar faces. Brian and I will be around. You'll also get reconnected with Joe Compton from Go Indie Now, as well as our resident Game of Thrones expert, Katie Salidas.
The Katie Salidas.
Yep, she'll be
the
back.
Mother of the Death Stare child.
That's right. And we're also bringing in some of our super fans, super listeners from the last year, people who have been really good about supporting and pushing out our episodes and sharing our stuff and telling their friends about it. So
much thanks to them as well, just for all they do. And, just for being super fans, man. As a matter of fact, I'm thankful for our fans, but, especially our listeners that are being involved. But I especially want to give a shout out to Anita Stewart and Mike Faria as well, because every time we go live, they're there.
Yeah.
So shout out to them.
What's starting to develop with the Plotaholics is a really nice community, I think. And it's something that I'd like to try to focus on a bit more in the new year is helping to further that community, because I think that these conversations that we like to have on the show are more fun when there are more people involved. So
absolutely. It's a lot of fun when it's just the two of us, but when other people come into that hemisphere, it becomes even more fun.
That's right. So without further ado, Brian, we'll just alternate on this one and talk about the things that we've been thankful for the last year.
I think that's a good idea.
And we'll kick off with one of yours. You are thankful in general for the Eddie Murphy comeback tour.
Oh my goodness, yes. Eddie Murphy is a guy who I grew up with as a kid, with Delirious, Raw. I was a little too young for Saturday Night Live, but 48 Hours, Beverly Hills Cop, The Golden Child. Oh, geez. It was just The Nutty Professor, Daddy Daycare, which I've just recently rewatched. It is so great. Eddie Murphy is so talented, so hilarious, and a good singer too, great actor. Everything he's done has just been really, really well done. And, in the last, 10 years, he's kept a very low profile. He's only really come out for as Jimmy Thunder Early in Dreamgirls, which was absolutely amazing. And then with his role Mr. Church, which this is one of those films that I suggest if you haven't seen, it's easily one. It's not the best movie, but it's one of Murphy's best acting roles. And now we're getting Eddie Murphy's coming back to stand up, Coming to America 2, Dolomite's My Name. And then we're going to be getting a Beverly Hills Cop 4.
Yeah, you were a big fan of Dolomite.
I was a huge fan of Dolomite. I wasn't a big fan of him as a child because I'm a little bit past Dolomite. That was a little bit after my time, but I really enjoyed the film because once again, this is another case of where it's not the best film, but Murphy is the glue that keeps it all together, and that's what a good, strong leading man does. A good leading man doesn't have to have an amazing script, but he brings it all together to make it an enjoyable experience. And that's what he does.
There you go. One of mine, Brian, for the year is the rated R comedy classic, Good Boys.
I still haven't gotten to see this shit. I can't wait to see it.
Oh man, it should be available for renting on digital at this point, but the story of these three young kids and it is, Seth Rogen at the helm at this thing. The script is just so funny, and I don't know that there's a lot of comedy in this movie that is funny because it's kids that are doing it and saying it. And there's a lot of comedy of like kids that are trying to talk sort of more grown up than they are, and they don't really know, they don't understand the language that they're using and things like that. So it's just really, really funny, and it just clicks along. It's got a really nice pacing. It was just a real joy to watch Good Boys there. I saw it at the theater, and I am waiting to see it again, because we will definitely be repeat viewers on this one for sure.
So is this like live action South Park?
It actually kind of is, but think of like the episodes where like Cartman is a little more ignorant to what's going on. Like it's like the Scott Tenorman Must Die stuff, where he thought like he could just buy pubes or whatever.
Nice. That is my favorite episode of South Park, and you know this.
Yes, yeah,
So,
but it's that kind of like where the kids, like it's like they have a passing knowledge of sex and things like that, but they don't have like the real sort of like intimate knowledge of like the inner workings of how all of it goes down. You know what I mean?
Right.
So they try to talk shit and things like that, and it doesn't just quite land because the joke they don't know enough to really make the jokes yet.
Gotcha. I think and I'm really excited to watch this. I still recall one of the marketings behind this was Seth Rogen talking to the kids and actually saying, so you're old enough to make this movie, but you're not old enough to watch your movie.
Yeah, well, even the production still, right? Like the poster says you must be this tall to see this movie, and they're all looking up at it. So, like, even cute. Yeah, so even the marketing, like all of the marketing sort of played on that idea that like they do have potty mouths in this movie for sure.
All right. So I won't let my niece watch this movie. Yeah,
probably not. But it is very, very good. Brian, another of your biggies from the last year. I don't know, where do you want to go next?
You know what? Surprise me. Throw it up there. Let's throw it up there.
Well, the most recent thing I think that has snagged your attention is The Mandalorian.
Yeah. I have begun writing. I will be reviewing each and every episode of The Mandalorian as they come out.
That's right.
So in episodes 1, my thoughts on episodes 1 and 2 are available now at Plotaholics.com. You can check those out.
Well, by the time this airs, your episode
I'll be 3, up to part. Yeah, episode 3 will be available as well. As a matter of fact, I'm going to be watching The Mandalorian either tonight or tomorrow.
Yeah.
Episode 3. And I'll tell you something right now, man. Pedro Pascal, I said it in my review, and I'll say it again. The Mountain better be damn glad he didn't meet this version of Pedro Pascal, because this guy, it's like everyone was all up in arms and in love with Boba Fett. And for a long time, I didn't know why, because he died like quickly. And then
I still don't know why.
But then we find out he didn't die. He survived the Sarlacc pit. And then in the books and in the expanded universe, he has a much larger role. And one of
that's canon anymore, right?
It's not, but it should be. In the Legacy of the Force series, which sees Leia and Han's son Jason become Caedus, Darth Caedus, there's actually a story in that series that focuses on Boba Fett, and it is absolutely amazing. But the thing is, the mystique of Boba Fett encompasses any of the Mandalorians that we've seen in the main series, and that includes Jango Fett. But Pedro Pascal's Mandalorian has made his own way.
Yeah.
And I'm loving it. I have nothing negative. The only negative that I have is that the episodes aren't long enough, but that keeps you coming for more.
Yeah, I think I like it. I think I like the short episode runtime. It does suck in the moment because it makes like these episodes really would lend themselves to binge watching, and they're only releasing one at a time. But at the same time, like hour-long dramas can drag a bit.
They drag.
So with these episodes, they're ranging in runtime from 28 to 37 minutes over the course of the season. That's what we've heard.
Right.
And I think that's pretty good. It'll keep things snappy.
Yeah, it keeps it fresh. It keeps it snappy. And the one thing that sucks with binge watching is that once you've done it, you don't normally do it again. You move to the next thing.
Yeah.
I remember binging all of Daredevil, Iron Fist, Luke Cage, and Jessica Jones and The Punisher. And I haven't watched any of those over again. I might go to a particular episode that I like in The Defenders. the scene where they first get into the big fight in Midland Circle, I go back to that. Or I go back to the first episode of the first season of The Punisher, or season 2 of Daredevil when the Punisher fights in jail. But that's it. With this, you have to come back to revisit. And when the whole season is done, you're probably going to go through it all again, just so you can get that satisfaction of binge watching. So very well done by Disney. Jon Favreau, and John I trust. Jon Favreau could come out and say that he's going to do a movie about Pip farting on a snare drum, and I'll be there to watch it.
Well, I think that Jon Favreau really should consider handing him the keys to the Star Wars kingdom moving forward, in a Kevin Feige type role. I think that he has it together enough to do that.
Absolutely. Jon Favreau is the MVP of Disney because he's the one that fought for Robert Downey Jr. to be Tony Stark.
No.
And he has been he's almost been like the most underappreciated presence in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. And then now he's come into Star Wars and done an amazing job. JJ, watch your back, bruh.
Yeah.
John gonna take it from you.
I feel like he is. And I'll sort of stick with the same sort of line of thought because my second property that I am thankful for is also a Star Wars property, though. It is the new Star Wars video game, Jedi Fallen Order. How
is this? Because I have not gotten it yet.
It is good, man. And I haven't gotten as far into it as I would have liked to at this point. I've really just kind of scratched the surface on this.
Well, you've got papers to grade.
Right. But the gameplay is great. It's very Assassin's Creed. In its movement and all of that, it's like a sort of a parkour free running type of engine. But the story is compelling. This is set right after Revenge of the Sith. Our protagonist is a force sensitive character who is trying to hide that from people, knowing that all of the Jedi in the universe have just been killed, So he is trying to hide the fact that he is a surviving Jedi, basically. So it's a pretty interesting story so far, and easily the best Star Wars game for a console in the last little bit. Of course, the only real competition you have there is Battlefront and Battlefront 2.
What about Cold War? Okay.
In the last little bit, so like I would say in the current generation of consoles.
All right, I was about to say don't disrespect KOTOR.
I would never disrespect your Knights of the Old Republic. The older Xboxes and play, like the last couple of generations had several really good titles, Star Wars titles. But this generation just hasn't quite gotten there outside of like the Lego games.
The Lego games are solid, but they're too kitty for me.
So this one is Fallen Order is pretty good. So
shout out to Cameron Monaghan for being our main character there. He can I just say that Cameron Monaghan is a guy who definitely should get more credit with what he's done in such a short time.
Yeah, his work on Gotham is unreal.
He really is. I mean, he scared Sharon when we started watching Gotham, and he creeped her out.
Honest to God, man, I think that the casting on Gotham is like top to bottom the best casting in any Batman property I've ever seen.
Absolutely, I agree 150%. And his role,
like everything, that version of Alfred, that version of Penguin, that like all of that is just spot on.
I mean, oh my goodness, their version of the Riddler is so great because the Riddler finally got a chance to be not just the Joker in green. And he was great. And shout out to him as well for his role as Ian in Shameless as well. He's playing, he did an amazing job playing, an LGBTQ character that's also bipolar. And he does an amazing job. And
he's very good. And if you can catch this game, you might check it out because Xbox is currently running their Black Friday sale. So you can get 75% off on some of these titles. I'm not sure that one's listed, but you might look at it.
Oh, I'm definitely going to check that out because Sharon did say that with certain things I needed to wait till Black Friday or Cyber Money before I could partake. So
yeah, gotcha. Well, Brian, that brings us to what I think probably is is it the biggest pop culture story of the year?
Yes, it is,
Or,
because
I mean, the only thing that probably rivals it is still adjacent to it, and that's Disney Plus. But I think probably the biggest story of the year is Avengers Endgame.
yes, because I'm telling you right now, Endgame, this is, Shane, the #1 film of all time at the box office.
Yeah, and you know what's great is that they didn't even look a little bit desperate while they was trying to do that.
No, not at all. Not at all. You know, they handled it with style and grace. They had no gimmicks or anything like that to try to sort of get their way through. They didn't
Yeah,
try
they
to.
definitely didn't do like a DLC style re-release.
No, not at all. They why would they? It's Disney. They don't have to do that.
Right.
But I will say this: they didn't
They
do.
said with a wink and a nod.
But they didn't do near as much as Fox did with Avatar, or with what was done with.
Well, let's
Titanic.
calm down because it has not even been out for a year yet, and those other two movies have been out for decades.
Yeah, but I mean, how many times did Avatar do a whole re-release in theaters thing, and how many times did Titanic?
I mean, at least twice for both of them, but they were never in the same year.
Yeah, but you know what? I think that with Endgame, it was like, we're so close. Let's just do it.
Yeah,
Why
I don't
not?
know, it just feels cheap.
I mean, I can understand that completely, but I mean, this is
I'm
one
not
of
saying
the.
that I'm not saying it wasn't worthy, like of claiming the top spot.
Right. No, I totally get it, but it's sort of like, it's kind of like that championship boxer that you know he's going to beat the crap out of the guy he's fighting, but he kind of does things a little bit sneaky where it's like, why did you have to do that?
Yeah, I think I think what bothers me is the precedent that it sets because like just 2 or 3 months later they did the same thing with Spider-Man Far From Home.
Right.
And like the idea that they're going to release a movie once and then they're going to release it again 2 months later with a deleted scene or something in it. Like that's a dangerous precedent, right?
It really is. I'm not going to keep jumping. Well, here's the thing, and I think that's part of where the Marvel burnout is really coming from. Because if you remember, I went to go see Spider-Man out of Marvel loyalty, but after that, I said, I'm done with Marvel for a while.
Yeah.
And I didn't watch another Marvel property until Disney Plus.
Yeah. Well, and luckily, Spider-Man is the last one that we've gotten and will be for a little while, at least in terms
until
of
May.
movies. Yeah.
Until May.
So,
But Endgame is still, you know, you can go back to watching this movie, and there's going to be little things that you missed, you know, little details that you're going to miss that make it rewatchable. And I'm sorry, the ending is still like that final battle is still so emotional.
Now, you've watched it on Disney Plus. Did you see your deleted scene?
No, it was not on there. I don't know where this deleted scene is supposed to be. It was
might
not
be on YouTube.
It might just be on YouTube, maybe. And if that's the case, then you know what? I'll check it out. Yeah. But no, I watch. What's funny?
I feel like they released a lot of deleted scenes, like to promote Disney Plus.
I think that's I think that's what they're doing. They might add it in later.
There's a section on Disney Plus under all of the titles that's like it says like extras and something else.
And I think that's probably where it's at.
Yeah, that's probably where it is.
But I'll tell you the truth. And this is the one thing, and I was talking to someone about this today at the gym, is that what made me mad about Disney Plus, and I didn't realize this until after I had it.
Mm-hmm.
I'll go to the Marvel section. I'll go to the movie section. I own everything in there except Captain Marvel.
Yeah.
That's it. So, but I can sit there and I can do a whole Marvel movie binge just using Disney Plus.
Right.
So it's like I can either go to my Blu-rays or I can go to Disney Plus.
The Disney Plus, their biggest, and this is such a weird thing to say because it's just come out and everybody's still blowing their loads over the content. But the Disney's biggest issue right now is content.
Yeah, because it's all old.
It's all stuff that we've all seen a bunch of times.
Yeah.
Or own.
Yeah. And The Mandalorian is the only exception to the rule.
Until a couple of little things, but like I'm a fan of the High School Musical, the series. And
every time you say that, it makes me laugh.
And I watched The World According to Jeff Goldblum the other night, and it was
how was that?
Not good.
No.
It was kind of boring, is all. I mean, he's charming enough, but like I'm not down with that format because like the topics of each episode are just kind of boring. Like ice cream, like okay.
All right, well then just go watch Transylvania 65,000 with him then.
Yeah, then
And leave it be.
but those things are essentially it for now until we start getting the Marvel series next year.
Once we get into 2020, we're gonna get all these we're gonna get all this different Marvel content, and that's gonna lead us into Black Widow in May. So I guess right now the Mandalorian is Disney is looking to keep itself relevant until HBO Max with the Mandalorian in our nostalgia.
Yeah, well, that's it, right? Is that they have the Mandalorian there for like the adult demo, and then they have the High School Musical there for the younger demo.
Yep.
And a couple of movies, a couple of original films, The Lady and the Tramp remake, and Noel, a Christmas film starring Anna Kendrick and Bill Hader.
And I need to finish Lady and the Tramp. I really do.
No,
I haven't finished it yet.
I mean, there's nothing really there that you haven't seen before.
Except there's no racist cats now.
Yeah, it looks better, you know.
Okay.
Or different, I guess. Is
well, you know,
to say that. And Sam Elliott.
Yeah. Well, we also have Aunt Sarah is also the woman that snitched out Captain America and Tony Stark in Endgame. So
Yvette.
She's very talented. She's talented,
and she was great on Community too.
Is it Yvette Brown?
I think so.
You know, one thing I've noticed, Shane, before we go to yours, and this is going to be my final go off. Did you notice that when Robert Downey Jr. and Alfred Woodard shared that scene, that poignant scene in Captain America: Civil War, that's the second time that they've shared screen time together.
I hadn't really thought about that.
Yeah, the first time they shared screen time was in the 1996 film Heart and Souls with him, Alfred Woodard, Keira Sedgwick, Charles Grodin, and what the hell's that guy's name? He's complete and utter train wreck of a guy, but a really, really awesome actor. He was in Passenger 57 as Sly Del Vecchio.
That is such a specifically Brian Tan thing for you to know.
Isn't it? Crap, what is that guy's name? I can't remember. You know what? Go ahead with what else you're thankful for, and I'll find it.
Yeah, so like my last thing is like nowhere near as big a deal as literally any of the other things that we've talked about. But I'm thankful for a return to form and a full-time return of Glenn Howerton to Always Sunny in Philadelphia.
Yeah, back in full.
Because this season of Always Sunny in Philadelphia has been a banger after banger after banger. Like there really hasn't been a dip this season at all.
So it's like they're back to being.
They're 100% back. Yeah, last season was good, and it was kind of an up and down season for them. And they always have, an episode or two that is a little flat compared to the rest of them. But this season has just been phenomenal so far.
See, I'm so far behind on It's Always Sunny. I think the last time I was really caught up was when they almost drowned.
Oh gosh, yeah, that was a good one.
Yeah, so I have to get back. But see, I've been meaning to just binge, to get back to it, but then I just get distracted. So
yeah, well, I will say that I am thankful to live in a world where Glenn Howerton can make AP Bio and be on Always Sunny in Philadelphia full time, because AP Bio is going to be on Peacock, the NBC streaming service.
Good, thank God. Hey, you're a big part of that. You're a big part of that, Shane.
I don't know that I'm a big part of it, but I like to think that I had
at least. Glenn Howerton liked your post.
So
he liked you.
I mean, I appreciate that.
You could have been the instrumental piece. You are the cog.
That's right. I could have been the cog, but I think that because Peacock is a streaming service, they have a more flexible film schedule.
Right.
And so now he's going to be able, it looks at least like he's going to be able to do both, because Always Sunny's back at least for one more season after this.
Right.
And AP Bio on Peacock should be starting in 2020. So
do we have any more news on how Peacock is going to work in all
Not yet. No, I mean, the most recent thing I've heard is that there will be at least an option for free with ads.
All right, sweet.
So I haven't seen anything refute that yet. So
all right, great. So I can still watch The Office. Good.
Yes, absolutely.
I'll tell you, did I tell you that Sharon and I, when our cable subscription is up, we're going to cancel cable, we're going to upgrade our internet, and we're just going to go straight streaming platforms.
There you go. Yeah. And that's what I did for a really long time. And until it was cheaper to package the cable with the internet, because like the internet was going to cost like $100 and something, and then like if I just added cable to it, then all of it was just 80, and I was like, okay.
Yeah. No, I hear you.
I still don't watch cable, but
neither do I. Like the only time we watch cable is to watch like Blue Bloods or the Mayans,
and like live sports or something. If I want to watch something like that, I'll turn on. But for the most part,
one or two impromptu things that I'm super thankful for.
Yeah.
I am super thankful for the drama-filled NFL because it is just so much clownish, cartoonish content on Twitter. Yeah. I am starting to get a kick out of all the arguing and fussing with each other over sports. First, it was Antonio Brown,
right,
and then it was now it's Myles Garrett and Mason Rudolph.
Yeah.
And, you know, it's just, you know, kudos to the NFL for sucking so hard, being so bad at officiating and keeping the game under control and being able to manage the game that the players are flipping out and beating each other over the skull with freaking helmets. Thank you, NFL, for sucking.
Yeah, I want to give another impromptu thing I'm thankful for, which is the drama-filled Floribama Shore on MTV. Have you heard of this?
No, but I want you to tell me.
So Floribama Shore is the New Jersey Shore, but it takes place in Florida, and it's in its third season. So you've got some that you can go catch up on.
Okay.
But it's the same formula, right? A couple of ripped up hot dudes, a couple of hot chicks. They throw them in a beach house for the summer and just watch the shenanigans. But except that these people are Southerners, so it's like a whole different breed of drama.
Oh my God, redneck drama.
It's amazing. And so in its third season, they've literally already been kicked out of all of the bars in Panama City, so they had to go to a different city.
I love it.
Yeah, so
woo!
They just threw one of the characters on their graduation party for graduating from court-mandated anger management.
You know what? I almost said I didn't realize Southerners were so hostile, but you know, Civil War.
Oh, it's rough, man. Like this show is pretty rough. But yeah, you should give it a go. It's a good time. Also, my candidate for the next Superman is on that show.
Oh yeah, who's that?
This guy Jeremiah. I don't even know his last name, but he's just like this ripped up dude that like has the Clark Kent look when he's like, you know,
when he's calm. Right.
Yeah, he wears the glasses and he's got like the little swoop of his hair. But like the dude is built like freaking Lou Ferrigno, you know, like
nice. Now, is he country ripped or is he gym ripped?
He's gym ripped.
Oh, okay. Because I'll tell you something right now, man. Country ripped cats scare me more than gym ripped cats. Man.
Yeah, for sure.
Because when you can throw bales of hay, wrestle a hog to the ground, and then uppercut a bull and not die.
Yeah.
You're a tough dude.
You got something going. You got something. What's really interesting about this show, though, that sets it a little bit apart from Jersey Shore, it sort of shows you, like, because it's been about 10 years since Jersey Shore started, is that the guys in this house are more emotional and the girls in the house are the more traditional masculine types. It's really wild. Like the guys are always like crying and hugging each other, and the girls are just like, he's just being a little bitch.
I love it. Well, hey man, Southern women aren't weak, man. No. So with a Southern woman, you gotta bring it or she's gonna kick your ass in the face.
That's right. Yeah. So big shout out to Floribama Shore. Their third season just started 2 weeks ago. So big fan. Brian,
I give them my Sharks fan.
There you go. Well, Brian, that is going to do it for our introduction here. But from here, we're going to send you out into some other live pre-recorded segments with friends of the show, listeners of the show. So stick around. And if you're hanging out with us, be sure to drop a comment. Tell us what you're thankful for this year.
Absolutely.
Join the conversation. And we'll be back to wrap this thing up on the other side. All right, everybody, welcome back. I don't want to take you from the fun for too long. We're going to get right back into it again. But, since it's Thanksgiving and we are being thankful for, everything that we've been given over the last year, Brian and I would be remiss if we didn't thank Josh Robertson for even bringing the two of us together. The Plotaholics wouldn't exist if it weren't for Josh Robertson and his show, Writer Imperfect, which Brian and I met on last year. Josh's wife, Diana, has fallen on some pretty hard times in terms of her health over the last little bit. And we thought that we would use a little bit of our time here today to ask you to consider either sharing their GoFundMe page or donating yourself if you're able to. No one likes to ask for help, but this time of year, it feels like we could all, do a little bit more to help those people who make the world a better place. And Josh and Diana are definitely two of those people. So their information is down below in the description of the video. And I hope that you'll consider at least, taking a look at their GoFundMe page, read their story, and see if the spirit moves you in some way. All right. Now, back to the show. Hey, everybody. Welcome to another segment of the Plotaholics Thanksgiving special. That over there is, as you can see, the ripped sumo. That's Brian Tan. Brian, how are you?
I'm feeling pretty good right now, Shane. Hold on, let me move my mic back over to where it was. Feeling pretty good right now. I got into the gym, get some working out in, and
very important.
Yeah, then picked
especially
up
during these holidays.
Yeah, working out is going to keep me sane because I'm not a holiday guy, Shane.
Yeah,
I'm really not. And but I also went and picked up the invitations today, so somebody is happy.
Good.
So no, I'm feeling pretty good and excited to get crack-a-lackin' as always, because that's the way I roll.
Yeah, well, without further ado, let's bring in our special guest for this segment of the Plotaholics Thanksgiving special, Minda. Minda, welcome.
Wow, it's very excited.
Oh yeah, the Plotaholics crowd is going wild.
Yeah. Now, Brian, Minda was, I believe, our very first iTunes review.
Ooh, royalty!
Say again, Minda.
I did this one.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that you were. Yeah, so that's a big deal. And so, as part of our efforts to thank all of the people that have helped us along in this first year, we wanted to invite you on and give you a little spot to talk about what you're into. So you sent us a couple of things. And first up, the first thing Minda asked was, can music or albums count as pop culture? And I said, well, of course.
Well, yeah.
And so the first thing that she sent is the Sturgill Simpson new album, as well as the Netflix. Is that a series? Sound and Fury, or is it a film? It's a film, right?
It's just a film, and it's crazy good. Like, I am not. This is gonna get me like feathered, but I am not someone that loves anime.
Mm-hmm.
And I know that it's like popular, and everybody's. I know. I'm so sorry. Yeah, but I'm not into it. My kids are heavily, but I'm very much into this whole outlaw country new glass thing, and Sturgill Simpson is a big part of that. And so when they were, and he goes many years in between albums, and so when he said he was releasing this Sound and Fury accompaniment movie, I was like, all right, well, let's check it out. And I was so freaking hooked. It's insane. It is incredible.
Well, that promo art looks amazing. I love the Knight Rider Mustang with the mushroom cloud in the background. That has my attention.
Yeah, that's the album cover, right?
It's very redneck, Mad Max, Fury Road, anime adventure, but the soundtrack is just so good.
And this is already out on Netflix.
Were you guys familiar with Sturgill Simpson?
No.
I know Sturgill Simpson a little bit. Like I know a couple of his songs, but I'm not incredibly familiar with his work.
Yeah, my whole musical taste is I'm still 15 years late for everything. Like if music has come out since like 2005 to 2008, I'm just like, meh. I'm real music snobby in that way.
Yeah, Brian is in that part of his life where, like there's that a study came out last year, I think, that said that you don't listen to any new bands after 35.
Yep, that's me. Yeah, basically, I would be okay boomered when it comes to music.
Yeah. Well, I was asking if the Netflix special is already out, and you say, yeah, it is, right?
Yes, it's really incredible. If they dropped the album, and then I think it was a week later they dropped the Netflix special.
Very cool. Yeah, I've heard a song or two off of that album, and it is like what I've heard is very good. So
I want that album to be my walk-on music whenever I enter any room whatsoever. Like WWE style, the whole album. Yeah, I'll walk real slow.
People in the arena are like, we know she's coming, but we also know she won't be here for 35 minutes.
35 minutes. That's the kind of buildup this needs.
That's right. Like by track 7, everybody's losing their mind. Like they're just like, she's
gonna be special.
That would be excellent.
It's very Kim Jong-il like a situation. Yeah. Like this is what it is.
Absolutely. Oh man.
Oh my God, I can see it now. I can see you in in his little outfit, and your hair's done up so you get the hair.
The Kim Jong-un bun and everything.
We're roughly the same height and build, so you know.
Oh God, I'm broken. I'm already broken. We're 10 minutes in and I'm broken.
The next bit that Minda wanted to talk about was really just all of the plethora of streaming options that are available, but specifically she mentioned 2 shows, and we'll start with Stranger Things. Minda, talk to me about Stranger Things.
I know, and it's so basic. Yeah. Well, I know this is so basic white girl of me to be like, oh my God, Stranger Things. But I was so into it. Like, and again, I think a lot of these things I want to talk about had a lot, basically it was the anticipatory build up. Like with the Sturgill Simpson thing, it's like, oh, when's it going to release? And the thing with Stranger Things, it's like, okay, it's, the other season's about to drop. And it's one of those things, it's, as a culture, as Americans, we love to binge. So I was like, So yeah, my kids and I went nuts for Stranger Things. And so we watched that whole 3rd series, I think within 2 days. And that's with taking time out to go to work and school.
So now are you excited about
we loved the whole...
Go ahead.
See, I haven't watched Stranger Things since season 1, so I'm so far behind. I need to get back into it. I really do.
Yeah,
I feel bad.
I was going to ask if you are excited about the impending final season of Stranger Things coming next year.
No, I'm not, because I don't know how they're going. If you've watched, so the Rip Sumo has not watched it. Did you watch it, Shane?
No, I'm behind on it too.
I watched the first season though. I know Winona Ryder's in it.
Well,
good job. Good fucking job.
One for the Rip Sumo.
I will say that
gold star.
I'm pretty sure that Minda just said fudging, but she cut out at about the perfect time.
Oh, I heard it.
Yeah.
I
better be careful. I'm gonna lose my spot here. Minda's killing it. I'm gonna lose my spot if I'm not careful.
Yeah. So you're really worried that they have too much left to tie up.
There's no way. I don't know how they're going to make it good. Like it was almost jumping the shark on season 3, but I love a good cheesy over the top, like Liberace experience. Mm-hmm. So I don't know what they're going to do in season 4 outside of do like Bob Newhart, where everybody was just dreaming, like,
right.
But I'm excited to see it. I'm excited to see what they're going to do.
What if the entire thing has been a nightmare, but the nightmare has been, in the head of a creature in the Upside Down.
That would be cool.
Like the Upside Down is having this nightmare about these stupid little human kids, and that's terrifying to them.
What is it? Yeah, nightmares. I'm having that same worry about Supernatural, to be honest. How are they gonna?
I've lost all audio, so I'm doing my earbuds again.
Oh, okay.
Gotcha.
Just so you know, I'm sure you guys are seeing really things right now.
Yeah, we are. So we're saying so many good things. Brian, one of the things that I'm thankful for is like a hardwired connection for my audio.
As am I. You know, I mean, granted, you know, I know wires are passe, and you know, okay, boomer, but you know what?
At least our audio is not cutting out. Also, I'm very thankful for at-home studios that are more effective than radio studios.
Oh,
Minda, are you back?
Hey, I can hear you. Hey, I'm sorry. I don't know what happened.
No, that's okay.
We were teasing you. Well, Shane was, and I'm a snitch.
Of course, Shane was.
Yeah,
I'm a golden.
Look, the other day in class, I was like, you know, nobody outside of the room needs to know this because you know what happens to snitches. And somebody was like, what? And I was like, they get murdered.
Yeah.
No, it's just skipping the stitches all the way.
Yeah, really. He just went from one extreme to just like, what the hell? And you know,
what's
and Shane teaches kindergarten.
I was like, rhyming threats are not threatening enough.
Do you have a lot of your students? Do you have a lot of young students in your program?
Well, so I end up teaching a lot of the high school connections sections. So I have a lot of the high schoolers. But I will say this for them: those students specifically that do joint enrollment are usually pretty together. You know, like they're young, but they know what they're doing. So that's nice.
So the exercise science teacher brought in her high school connections class the other day to my lab, and there was about 20 of them, and they knew what they were coming into because all of these kids had an interest in being a PA or a physical therapist, and they wanted to see musculature. So they came into where I am at, and as I uncovered the cadaver, we lost 4 right away. They ran.
You work with dead bodies? Yeah. That is so awesome.
Yeah, she works in the funeral services department.
Do you ever worry that like they're gonna move?
Oh, no.
Because I get nervous whenever I'm around dead bodies. It's like, is it moving? Do I have to hit it?
When are you around dead bodies? Are you a cop or what do you do for a living?
I am a digital marketing assistant.
Wait a minute.
So when are you around dead bodies?
I can't tell you. I mean, the last
revelation.
The last time I remember being around a dead body was my ex-girlfriend.
I guarantee you were at a funeral.
I don't go to those anymore. But no, it was my ex-girlfriend's father. He was on the slab, and I was like watching his hands, and she's like, "What are you doing?" I said, "His hand moved." She was like, "That's not funny." And I was like, "I'm not being funny. It looks like his hand moved." I was like, "We might have to hit him." And she was like, "You're not hitting my father." I said, "But what if he moved?"
We might have to hit him versus trying to save him.
Hey, if they've already declared him dead and he moves, we got to bust him in his skull, man.
Oh man!
I got some questions. I have some questions. I'm sorry. I don't mean to derail what we're trying to talk about, Thanksgiving and the things and blah, 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 but I got questions. So what do you mean he was on the slab? Where were you at?
He was, I'm trying to remember. I think we went to claim his body because he had already died. So he was on the table, and I don't even think they had started embalming him yet. They had just got him to the funeral home.
So you were at the funeral home?
Yeah, he hadn't
on the slab.
I don't know. What do you call it? Is it a
table?
Oh,
that's what
I was going to say.
I'm wondering what kind of. Well, I'm just wondering what kind of archaic Viking-esque situation you guys were at.
Well, believe me,
he was on a slab.
He was just on a slab.
The bonfire.
Yeah, he was a rib. He was a rib. He was just there.
This is going to be a new segment on the Plotaholics called Funeral Talk.
Yeah, Brian
no,
and
you're
his.
not.
Well,
no, you're not. Don't
That's
steal
right.
my other show.
We can't
sorry,
do it. Yeah.
Sorry.
Minda, if this seems like a really good opportunity for you to go ahead and promote your forthcoming podcast.
Super segue. I do have a forthcoming podcast called Dead Girls Talking with one of my other comedians, Chrissy Howard, who also is my assistant at FTCC's Funeral Services. So we are going to deep dive into all of the things that are weird and, kind of related to her field. But she also she kind of moonlights as a witch. So that just seems pertinent to
nice
content building.
So you're going to be talking about
things are
people
weird
on
down
the
here in
slab?
Fayetteville.
Nice.
I see again, slab. That's what they do in your town. We try to be a little bit more formal than the slab.
Well, I am from Pittsburgh. So
one of my favorite things so far in this Thanksgiving
I've
special
never been to
is,
Pittsburgh.
what do you call it where you are? A table. That was most excellent.
That just goes to show how much of a caveman I am. I mean,
yeah,
I was also a security supervisor at a hospital, and we did have a hospice ward.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
I would get nervous there.
Yeah. Well, those guys also escort whenever the funeral home comes to pick up a decedent. They're the security has to let us back there. So.
And that's what I would. And that's what
I
did.
Did you have to bash any heads of the freshly dead that trembled?
I came close. I came close a couple of times, but I was able to hold my hand.
This was such an illuminating conversation. Thank you, Minda.
This is turning into lots of Thanksgiving stuff, and this is the same vibe of like people that are trying to get Popeye's chicken sandwiches. Like he moved, smashed his head.
And you know what? I stay away from Popeyes. Like you ain't gonna be having me as a hashtag. I'm not gonna be a hashtag with the police, and I ain't gonna be a hashtag over no sandwich either. Because knowing my luck, that's how I'm gonna die. I'm gonna die in a fist fight over a sandwich.
Yeah, if you die in a fist fight over a sandwich, do you think that your vigil is just people piling up sandwiches instead of flowers?
Well, that would suck. I can't take them with me.
So you're thinking of the vigil. I'm thinking of the death certificate because you have to list the cause of death. Chicken-related violence.
His black ass got taken out over a sandwich.
Ooh.
That would be so stereotypical, though. I don't think I would.
Yeah, you don't want to do that. I wouldn't sign that. I wouldn't sign that. Yeah. Well, I'm afraid to say yes or no right now because it will make you sound racist.
I mean, seriously, because I've had family cookouts where people have threatened to stab each other over a game of spades. So, I definitely don't want that to be on my death certificate, but I also don't want to get taken out over a chicken sandwich. So,
it's probably just best to leave yourself out of those situations.
That's why I stay at home and I yell at people. I'm the old man that shouts at clouds. It's just safer.
Well, I think that brings us gracefully to Minda's third topic.
Yeah, I think so.
And something that we can all intelligently talk about. And a show that is nowhere near the slab, and that is The Boys, the Amazon original.
Oh God, yes.
Amanda, talk to us about The Boys.
I loved The Boys, and I kept hearing about it. And the co-host on my other podcast, That's Just My Face, is Sean Byron. He was just like, "You got to watch this. You got to watch this." And I have a 14-year-old son. And I thought this might be something that we could watch together. And we watched it together, and I was wrong. That's not something you should watch with children.
Yeah, I could have told you that.
But we thoroughly enjoyed that show. I will say that it was. I love the whole hero anti-hero thing and like the resistance fighting that back. I'm a little Irish.
That show is really fantastic, and everything.
Oh gosh.
Everything we hear coming out about season 2 is that they're dialing all of that stuff up even more. So.
I'm excited.
How?
I don't know. Like
are they streaming it from Pornhub? Because like,
Yeah.
Well, in the graphic novels, there is a pretty intense superhero orgy.
Oh my.
That
You could tell me anything and I would believe you. Is that true?
that is true. Yes, that is
Yes.
true.
Really?
And theoretically, I think one of the things that they've mentioned is that they're filming that for at some point either in season 2 or they have it planned for season 3. So, I don't know.
Well, okay.
So
Yeah,
heads
no, it was
up.
good. I love the
Hopefully, your kid's old
violence.
enough by the time that comes out.
How old do you have to be? Like,
What is the cutoff for superhero orgy?
what's the cutoff for superhero orgies,
Well,
right? Like,
I think when he's like, "What's that?" You're just like, "Well, that's just what superheroes do."
Yeah, that's what the Avengers are doing when they're not fighting Thanos.
Yeah.
yeah, he's gonna be like, "I want to be a superhero, mom.
I mean, probably.
That's my superpower."
The thing is that the group really needs to add a couple of more ladies, I think.
Oh hell yeah! There's too much.
Yeah, Russ, that's gonna be a series. That's a sausage party.
Yeah, it's less an orgy and more a gangbang.
Yeah, that's a whole.
But I want to
kind of pile.
Yeah.
What's the rating on this show? Like, what can I say on your show?
You can say anything. Yeah.
Okay, because I was going to say that's a lot of dudes. That's a lot of superhero dudes, and I can imagine that the fluid situation is less normal and more like magma. You know what I mean? Can you imagine a room full of superhero stuff? It has to burn. Like that's all I'm thinking. Yeah.
Oh, you think it burns?
I feel like that's the same. If you're dating a dude who drinks too many energy drinks and eats a lot of Taco Bell, it's the same situation. That's it burns.
I didn't know that. You learn something new every day.
Is it because people that drink a lot of energy drinks and eat a lot of Taco Bell tend to have things wrong with their junk? Is that why it burns?
It could be.
I think I don't know. I don't think it's true. I think I'm just like making shit up, and you guys are like, "Wow, you work with the slab. This must be true."
Well, I don't know, but I think going with with the energy drinks and all the Taco Bell just could be a form of gastric herpes. I mean,
gastric herpes.
Yeah, I made up a thing.
Well,
all I know is it involves Taco Bell.
Absolutely.
Always.
Well, here's my thing. If they are going to do that, they should be glad that there's no Hulk equivalent because damn.
Because the Hulk equivalent would not have any, like it's all over here. Like it would not be, there'd be nothing impressive down that situation.
Most likely not. No.
It would be like the water that's left in the hose after it's been turned off.
Oh.
Exactly. That's exactly right.
Yeah, that's going to piss Banner off.
Yeah, it's a green apple Jolly Rancher at that point.
Oh,
I think the problem with that is that you have you would have a Bruce Banner sized load coming out of a Hulk sized penis. You know what I mean?
It would be like a whiteout bottle tipping over.
Oh man. Well, I think that our next segment is actually all about family and Disney Plus. So this is a really good transition.
That is the segue to end all segues, my friends.
Yeah, excellent. This
is a Thanksgiving special, so we should talk about family.
I'm very, very thankful that there is no Hulk splooge going to be at my table this year.
Yeah. Well, Minda,
you don't know.
Are you looking forward, Minda, to anything in the new year other than launching a new podcast, etc.?
I am actually going to go see Sturgill Simpson at concert in Charlotte. Awesome. And it was ridiculously hard to get those tickets because, like, you guys don't really know who he is, but his fans, the fans that he does have, are diehard. Like, and he has such a strong following. And I've been following him since kind of the beginning. And he used to have merch that the shirt said, "Who the fuck is Sturgill Simpson?" And so now, and it worked, like now he's got such a following. And so to get these tickets was a big deal. And I'm looking forward, like I said, and actually I forgot, I neglected to tell you this on our little questionnaire. I really was into the Umbrella Academy.
Yeah.
And my children and I are amped. We cannot wait for the season 2 of that. And I think it's coming out fairly soon.
I hope so, because that was so good. I was shocked at how good
it was. So good.
Yeah, it seems like it's about time for that.
Yeah. The thing with all these shows that I just loved, I am such a poser though, because like I've never read the graphic novels of them. So, and now I don't want to because I don't want to like
Right.
ruin the surprise.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I tried to watch. I really am into this whole fantasy-driven TV series thing that all these streaming networks have come out with, and I started The Watchmen. Have you guys watched that?
No.
I haven't watched the series, but I know the graphic novel pretty well.
The series is impossible to follow. Like I have like I have to go to YouTube and watch people dissect each episode. Like I am
yeah.
not smart enough to watch that show. I am trying like hell, but it's just not happening.
Yeah.
Well, see, when the
So-
movie came out, it wasn't really my cup of tea. It was, I don't know
I've heard
if
bad things.
Yeah, here's the thing. I don't mind dark subject matter. I really don't. I love actually. But there was
Oh.
just something about the movie that just didn't appeal to me. I don't know why.
Really?
I think part of it is because you get these regular everyday people who are just good at what they do. And then you have a god and it's just like, yeah, hang out with you guys. It's like there's nobody else like Dr. Manhattan is just people want to say Superman is overpowered. Dr. Manhattan is like the most overpowered dude I've ever heard of.
Yeah, but that's also kind of the point, right? Is that Dr. Manhattan recognizes that he's overpowered and he isolates himself. Like his like existential crisis, I think, is the whole point of the Watchmen.
Yeah, well, you know what? Maybe I
You
need
both
to,
have already said more than I am aware of.
So anyway, yeah, I think the film was fine. I think it's the best Zack Snyder's ever done.
I'm getting tired. You know what? I'm getting sick of Zack Snyder just because I'm tired of hearing release the Snyder cut.
I wish they'd just put it out so we can all see what a piece of shit it is.
Yeah, exactly. And
But-
you know
What is it? What are you
Zack-
talking about?
So the Zack Snyder was the original director for Justice League, and he was
Yeah.
replaced by
Joss Whedon.
Joss Whedon. And so now Zack Snyder keeps
I love Joss
releasing.
Whedon.
Yeah, Snyder keeps releasing screenshots from his original cut, and now everybody's like, "Release the Snyder cut." I'm sure it was a better movie, and I think
No, because a lot of it didn't get done.
Yeah.
Not to mention the fact that
What
I'm
a
sorry,
baby!
yeah,
and not to mention the
What
fact
a
that
whitey baby!
Justice League just isn't.
a good
Justice
movie.
It's not. And it's because DC thought that they could skip all the steps that Marvel took. Marvel had to take some serious steps to get to Avengers level stuff.
yeah.
And they did. And DC was just like, well, we got Superman and Batman. We don't need to do this.
Yeah. Well, and for my money, there's only one baby that I'm concerned about, and that is
Yeah.
Oh,
Baby
baby
Yoda.
Yoda.
Oh,
You mean
yeah.
I think his name is Yeatle. They named him as Yeatle.
They named him.
Yeatle.
Oh,
Yeatle.
Yeah,
Yeatle.
because
my daughter's in
Yeatle-
the studio and she's yelling at me from
okay.
across the
Yeah,
room.
because Yeatle was the other Jedi Master during the prequel time. Yeatle was the other little Yoda dude. Yeah,
Mhm.
Yoda had
Really?
Yeatle, so now this is Yeatle.
Yeah.
I haven't watched episode
Yeatle,
3 yet.
yeah.
Now, where does Yertle?
I
come
haven't Yertle,
Yeah.
the turtle.
Turtle's
Mhm.
the turtle.
Oh, okay.
Yertle's the turtle. Yeah.
Okay. I was
Although I have
trying-
a friend that has a blog, and her blog is called Yertle's blog. So I was like, oh, you know of her?
No, I'm just a big fan of Dr. Seuss and how weird everything is.
well,
Yeah, I saw a picture of him the other day as a young man, and he was, not too bad.
okay. Minda's
Laying
feeling
the rhyme down.
yeah. Well, that's going to probably do it for our time here. Minda, why don't you tell everybody where they can find you when you're not
Everywhere. So when I'm not embalming people on the slab, which is a day job, I run 910 Comedy. So please check us out on Facebook and Instagram. We do comedy shows all around locally, and we do events and things like that. I have a current podcast called That's Just My Face with my host DB, and it's pretty fun. I like it. I think Shane likes it.
Yeah, it's
I
good.
hope you're a listener. Yeah,
All
because you were also one of my iTunes reviews. And thank you
right.
for supporting us.
What's
And then I'm starting.
That's my face?
That's just my face. That's just my face, because I have serious resting bitch face. And I'm 41 years old, and my whole life I was like, what's wrong? I'm like, nothing. Just nothing.
You know what? I'm 40 years old and I got the same thing. Why don't you smile once in a while? Why don't you kiss my ass?
Exactly. Exactly. You're gonna be such a fan of that show.
Relationships
I
here.
just subscribed on iTunes
Everybody else should go and
Thank
subscribe
you.
as well.
Absolutely.
Thank you. And we're starting Dead Girls Talking, which
Woo.
is yep. So that is a mortician comedian. We're both morticians. We're both comedians, and it's going to be weird and cool and exciting. So as soon as I launch that, please subscribe, guys. And I just thank you so much for having me on your show.
Absolutely.
I'm also on WKML 7 days a week. I'm on WKML 95.7 if you're local to Fayetteville.
Awesome.
Awesome.
Is there any else, Shane? Do I work other places? I can't remember.
You work at the Slab. You work on the radio. You do the comedy. You do the podcast.
I work at a couple funeral homes.
You
don't want to look me up there.
You do some like event hosting, but I think you probably tie that to 910 Comedy.
I do, yeah. Whenever I get like independent gigs, I just throw the 910 Comedy thing on there.
Yeah,
Nice.
which is good for branding.
Mm-hmm. Yep, we're working on that.
Yeah, but thank you, Minda, for supporting.
This is incredible.
You can finally spend the night in a hotel shaped like an anus? What the hell? Where is this hotel?
On my Facebook page. It's in Europe. It's in Belgium.
An anus?
Doesn't that anus look like a big sweet potato though? For real.
It really does.
Yeah.
So that's what the inside of my butthole looks like. Sweet.
I mean, not as clean. That's a real cleaned up version. I'll just tell you that.
Oh,
since I do a lot of human dissection and stuff at the college.
Can you bring a fat guy to work day? I want to watch that.
I have never wished I had.
You think you want to watch that?
GIF more than I wanted it right now.
What do you want?
Do you have to go to medical school to be able to chop people up?
Well, I call myself a post-mortem vascular surgeon, so that's the school that I went to. I'm one of 12 people in the United States that can do the soft cure embalming, and so it's a very specialized situation.
Oh,
yeah. I like TV.
I should have done that. That's it. Devil woman, get my time machine. I'm going back in time. I want to cut up dead people.
You know, you don't have to go to school to do that. You just don't need to get caught.
Ooh. Wink, wink.
Wink, wink.
Yep.
Wink, wink.
Thank you guys so much for having me. I hope you guys have a really good Thanksgiving.
Yeah,
thank you. Same to you.
Carving out a little time out of your incredibly busy.
Shane is the pun master.
Puns on puns on puns. No, when you guys were talking about anus, I was really wishing that I had this guy that we used to run all the time on this show.
Sonic.
I love Sonic.
What's the Sonic tie-in?
He's just the well, first we used to use the ugly Sonic as like our just like surprised face. He's also on our Facebook page. We have the Plotaholics spelled out with his mouth as the O in plot.
Yeah.
You know, you can use that anus hotel now for that O in plot if you want.
That's a fair point. Because there's not an O in That's Just My Face. So, there you go. Problem solved.
That's a shame.
That's awesome.
Well, thank you, Minda. And
bye, guys.
Yeah. But every movie has a plot hole, and every hole gets filled somehow with whiskey, wine, or blue milk. Just don't cut me off right now. We're the Plotaholics, a breakfast club of two. We're the Plotaholics.
Of the Plotaholics Thanksgiving special, I'm joined now by long-term listener and supporter, Mary Jane. Mary Jane, how are you?
I'm great.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for making a little time to join us here on our year-end retrospective. How has your year been, Mary Jane, in general?
It's been an okay year. Nothing too crazy. Moved, changed jobs.
Yeah, Mary works downtown in Fayetteville at one of the breweries down there. Do you want to give them a shout out?
Yeah, I'm at Lake Gaston. If you guys are in town, come by, have a pint. It's pretty good.
Yeah, Lake Gaston is a pretty snazzy spot in downtown Fayetteville. So, um, Mary is responsible. Can I call you Mary, or should I just say Mary Jane every time?
It doesn't matter either way.
Mary's responsible for our review of Son-in-Law a couple of weeks back. She's the reason that we did that film, and I appreciate the recommendation because I think that that it went pretty well. So thank you very much, Mary Jane, for your contributions on that. And Mary Jane really got involved over the summer during the summer of Cusack, because John Cusack is one of your favorites, right?
He has always been one of my absolute faves.
Yeah, and that brings us to one of the first things that Mary Jane is thankful for over the last year, and that is the opportunity to meet John Cusack. So can you talk a little bit about that experience?
Yeah, my girlfriend that's with me, that we've covered up, she was like, I need you to do something nerdy with me. And I was like, okay, what? She was like, I need you to go to Comic-Con. And I was like, what? No. And she was like, John Cusack's going to be there. And I was like, I'm in. How much? Where's the site? I'm paying right now.
Yeah. So was it an absorbent amount extra to be able to meet him like this, or was it included in the ticket price?
Well, we got VIP tickets just because we didn't want to deal with the long lines and the waiting.
Right.
So those were about $250, which wasn't terrible.
Yeah.
I didn't have to pay to stay anywhere because I have a friend that lives in Raleigh, so she just let us crash at her place.
Yeah. So that's GalaxyCon, and so was this your first Comic-Con experience?
Yes.
So what can you say about Comic-Con in general? I mean, obviously meeting John Cusack was awesome, but what about just the experience of being there?
It was enlightening. Like, I knew that, the cosplayers were really into that kind of thing, and it was July.
Yeah.
It was 105 degrees outside. These people were in full costumes, and I was like, I'm dying in normal clothing, and people are just walking around in these things, and I'm like, how are you not dying of heat exhaustion in that thing?
Yeah, because some of those costumes, most of them, especially the superhero variety, do not lend themselves to I don't know, a lot of circulation.
Yeah, some of them were really just extravagant. And another thing, I was like, how do you afford these costumes? It must have taken you so much money to make them or buy them, or I mean, they're just ridiculous.
I think that this year was my first time at a Comic-Con too. Now, I've not done GalaxyCon. That's the one you did, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I've not done GalaxyCon. I did I did South Carolina Comic-Con, and then I did DragonCon in Atlanta, Georgia. And DragonCon is obscene how large that con is. It's 5 hotels big.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, so all of downtown Atlanta is shut down. And so and what's really interesting about it is you talk about this extravagant cosplay in Atlanta during DragonCon, they're just walking down the street because they have to go from hotel to hotel to get to these different panels. So it's not all sort of isolated in one convention center, Yeah,
I went to St. Patrick's Day in Atlanta once, and there was a Comic-Con at the same time. So there was a weird business convention as well. So it was St. Patty's Day goers, businessmen in suits, and cosplayers all downtown.
The weekend, what? The weekend we were at DragonCon, there was also the University of Alabama had their kickoff game in Atlanta that weekend.
Yeah.
So it was this weird fusion of geek fandom and football fandom in downtown. It was pretty crazy. But yeah, I'm a big fan. I am a big fan theoretically of Comic-Cons, but I find once I get there, sensory overload sets in real quick. Did you have a similar experience with just so much stuff?
It was schedule. So we decided these are the panels we want to go see. we kind of decided like this is what we're going to do here, and while we have time we'll go down and like look at the celebs. And like as we're walking through the celebrity part, we had like ice cream cones, and Barry Bostwick stopped us. And he was like, "Hey, where'd you get those ice cream cones?" And we were like, "Holy shit, you're Barry Bostwick and you're speaking."
Yeah, that's wild. You also got to meet who was it? Will Wheaton?
I did. I got him to autograph a picture. Stand by.
Oh, okay.
Because
yeah,
he
very cool.
is apparently a germaphobe. Pictures and take and like shake hands and stuff. So he'll only autograph stuff.
Huh. Feels like
he's
the
like
pictures
not
that he would be
necessarily
autographing.
germaphobe, but he's got like he with Will Wheaton. He has like
Right. Huh. That's crazy.
So he'll jump.
Yeah. So any other weird stories from your first Comic-Con experience?
Oh man, we were walking out of taking the picture with John Cusack right in front of us, like toward us to go to his little booth. And I was like, "Oh my God, Pauly Shore!" And he was like, "What's up?" And then he like walked into his booth.
Nice.
And I was like,
"Man, that is excellent."
Also, we went to eat. We went to a restaurant Friday night in downtown. It's called Pools. And we sat down, ordered food, and about 20 minutes in, Billy Zane comes in and sits down right across from us. And I was like, "Oh my God, Billy Zane's having dinner across from us."
That's wild. Billy Zane that's top-notch stuff. Did you get to talk to him at all, or was it like that weird, like how do you approach somebody while they're eating dinner sort of thing?
Well, we sat there and had our drinks and had our dinner, and we waited for him to get done with his food. And he was sitting right in front of the door. So as soon as we were getting up to leave, I was like, "I'm just going to say hey right quick." And so as we were leaving, I was like, "Hey, I'm a big fan. Like, so good to see you." And he talked to us for a minute and, asked us about a sister restaurant that Pools owns. Had we eaten there? And we were like, "No, but we want to. It's always packed when we go over there."
Yeah. So it seems like everyone, it seems like everybody you got to meet was pretty down to earth and like you didn't have one of those experiences where you met one of your idols and your entire experience with them changed because they were like an asshole to you or something.
No one was even remotely rude. Like everyone was super friendly and super like down to be in there.
I think that if you're a celebrity, you kind of have to know what you're getting into if you go to a Comic-Con like that,
Yeah, I talked to Will Friedle. I got with the VIP pass, we got like a meet and greet cocktail hour thing.
Oh, that's cool.
And he played Eric on Boy Meets World.
Right.
He's a lot shorter in person. I expected him to be tall. And he's like 5'9".
The magic of cinema, right? Or I guess the magic of television in that case.
But I was like, how short is Ben Savage? Because
well, maybe they just had him like on platform shoes or something, right? Like we hear stories all the time about how they have to put like Tom Cruise on platforms.
Well, that's because he's a midget. But
right.
I was like, "Oh, you're so like tiny. Like I thought you would be way taller."
Yeah. The next thing that you were thankful for this year, you said were Stephen King remakes, and I added Dr. Sleep, even though it's not necessarily a remake. So just Stephen King films for this year. Can you talk a little bit about your experience with Stephen King in the cinema this year?
I mean, I love Stephen King. I've read probably 40-ish novels, if not a little more. So I've seen all the 80s, versions of all of his movies.
Yeah.
It, well into like them making movie mini series and things like that. Watched them all.
Yeah. So what did you think of It Chapter 2? Fan?
I liked it.
Mm-hmm.
It was, far-fetched from the first version.
Yeah.
I really appreciated them throwing in Stephen King as the shop at Secondhand Rose because A lot of people don't realize that's an actual shop in some of his stories.
Yeah. Yeah, that was a nice nod for sure. I felt like chapter 2 I felt it drug on a little long. Like I felt like the chapter 1 was a stronger entry. Now I feel like Bill Hader maybe single-handedly saved chapter 2 for me. I thought he was great.
Yeah. I thought all the acting was really good, but it was just that long sequence toward, when they're trying to figure out how to kill him.
Yeah. Yeah, and then
it really took way too long. Like,
yeah. I agree with that. Now, I did not see the Pet Sematary remake. How did that go?
All right, so I took the girl in the John Cusack picture and another friend of mine, and she brought a date. So the 4 of us went. There was like 2 other people in the theater. And I was like, okay, I like where this is going. They've changed the kid up a little bit. That's okay. They made the older one die instead of the baby.
Mm-hmm.
Which, the baby being the one they murder and, well, not murder, but kill off and then come back as a scary little murderer is, that's frightening enough.
Absolutely.
And John Lithgow plays, their next door neighbor dude.
Yeah, and he's golden in anything.
Right. He's amazing. And he nailed it. Nailed the accent, nailed the part perfect.
You don't want to go down there.
Right? And I thought they did a pretty good job with it.
Good. So overall, would you say better or worse or the same as the 80s version?
I mean, nostalgia-wise, I don't think it'll ever be better. But
yeah,
cinematography-wise, it was really, really good.
Yeah, it definitely looked much more like punched up, and I mean that's just the development of like the technology, cameras and stuff. You can just do a lot more with. But that original Pet Sematary is pretty terrifying.
It was terrifying. I remember being scared of cats I didn't even want to see a cat that night. My friend was like, I'm scared to go home to my cat now.
Right.
We were like, no.
Now, I'm excited about Dr. Sleep. I haven't seen it yet. I haven't big fan. Either. You haven't seen it yet? I'm a big fan of The Shining, of the film The Shining. And I never read the novel, but I know that there's like some contention between Kubrick and King over that film. But Dr. Sleep looks good, but you haven't seen it yet. Do you plan to see it in the theater?
Absolutely. And here's the thing. So terrifying. Like literally had to watch like Friends or something before I went to bed so I wouldn't be
right.
But and then Nicholson nails that part and like really
he's so good.
He really does tour and it's like a thing wrote that part for him. Now version of it. Right. But you can't fit a 1,000-page novel in one movie. It's impossible.
Yeah, and King has
things have to
liked
be like that.
Other versions, right? I mean, not other versions of The Shining, but other versions of his work. Like King has liked some of those things.
Oh yeah. I don't know what about Kubrick's film that he just made him want to remake it. He ended up remaking it himself, I guess.
Yeah.
But I did read Dr. Sleep. So I bought the novel and I took about a week and finished it. And
yeah.
And it's fantastic.
Good.
If you're going to watch your sleep, watch The Shining again because it's nothing like the.
Yeah, right. Yeah, that's what I've heard, that you really need to preface a Dr. Sleep viewing with The Shining. Now, do you watch, oh God, what is it? Is it Castle Rock?
I have been watching it.
Do you like that?
And I do like it. The first season is kind of weird.
Yeah.
And I think that's just Bill Skarsgård. You don't know what's going on.
All right.
Skarsgård's supposed to be. But,
Right.
you know, they're not remaking works of Stephen King. They're taking Stephen King characters and giving them a show.
Yeah, it's
so
almost
season
like Halloween
2,
Town.
kind of, yeah. But like season 2, in Minda, she's like a 30-year-old, and Annie will something in the 80s.
Mm-hmm.
So it's on the same character of Annie Will. It's the Sting. It's the it's the King universe. You can do whatever you want.
Yeah. Yeah, I think
And
I
they've
might
used
start that tonight. Like that's the show that I've been wanting to give a shot to.
Well, here's the thing too. So Tim Robbins is in it, which is awesome because he's always, and Ace Merrill's uncle. And Ace Merrill
I'm sorry, you broke up a little bit right there.
I said he plays Pops Merrill, which is Ace Merrill's uncle. And
Gotcha.
Ace Merrill is the one who Kiefer Sutherland plays in Stand By Me.
Gotcha. Okay.
He's like, the head
Rock.
of the... Right, because that's where Stand By Me takes place, is Castle Rock.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I'm going to have to get into that show. I see the trailers for it on Hulu all the time. I'm like, man, I got to give this thing a shot because it looks really interesting. And I love the idea of extended universes and playing in that sort of sandbox.
Yeah, and they're not necessarily following like King's work whatsoever. They're just it's just a nod to Stephen King characters.
It's like fan fiction in some way.
Yeah. Well, J.J. Abrams directs it, I believe, or maybe he just produces it. But
I think you're right. He's definitely involved with it. Now, you also asked what you're looking forward to in the new year, and you gave me 2 films that you're looking forward to. That's Bad Boys for Life and A Quiet Place 2. I don't know that you've heard the Plotaholics podcast episode on Bad Boys, but we were not fans
of the movie at all.
Yeah, we weren't big fans of Bad Boys. Like Bad Boys is entertaining enough, but I don't know how it's gotten 3 films. Now, A Quiet Place, I'm absolutely stoked for. I can't wait for the sequel to this movie.
Oh, for sure. And I don't think that I'm looking forward to Bad Boys 3 because it's a great film. I never thought they were great films. They were entertaining. Right. And watching Martin fight each other and argue is like part of
Yeah, and that's okay. And that's a fine reason to like that movie. And that's really what that movie has going for it. If they could dial back the focus on the action aspect of it and dial up the Martin Will stuff a little bit more, then I could probably get more on board with it.
Right. The second one was just funny because, Will's trying to date Martin's sister and that goes terribly and he causes a big rift and they make it this big deal. So I can't imagine, got to be married by the third one, right?
Got to be. I mean, it's been a little while too. Like if they continue, like if they allow time to pass, which I assume they have to, right? Like it can't just take off. It can't pick up right after Bad Boys 2. It has to be several years later. Yeah. And I think if that's the case, then maybe you do have, Will Smith in a serious committed relationship, in which case that I think makes for an interesting character study of that character because,
I just kind of want to see where they went with it. Like, what more could you do?
Is this the official final Bad Boys? I have to assume so, right?
I would think so. They called it for life. So
yeah, maybe they haven't officially said that. And I'm sure if it made like $2 billion, they'd make another one, but I don't think that it will.
I don't think you could make many more. I guess that we didn't think that with Fast and the Furious, but look what happened.
Yeah, it'll be like Bad Boys Presents you know, like these two spin-off characters. They'll do like an extended universe Bad Boys thing. Now, Quiet Place 2, I am stoked for because I'm interested to see where they take this story. Like, I'm interested to see if they go with like an anthology approach and tell a separate standalone story, or if they pick up with these same characters.
See, I'm pretty sure the same characters are in it, but I'm pretty sure John Krasinski is still in it. So maybe they have to flash back.
Yeah.
And like they're moving forward with life without dad, but they still flash back to him.
Right.
But like the first one just, I mean, I was floored by how great this movie was with so little dialogue.
So it really, it is John Krasinski's masterpiece. Like, I don't know that the dude will ever direct a movie that is as astonishing as the first Quiet Place.
Right. And like, that was like when Bird Box and all that other crap was coming out, which I still have not watched.
I haven't either.
And everybody's like, oh, it's just Bird Box, but deaf instead of blind. And I was like, no, no. And I mean, obviously there were silent pictures when movies first became a thing.
Yeah, but the way that they use silence in this film is like not like anything I've ever seen before or heard, I guess.
No. And there's, you know, there's these creatures that you don't know what they are.
Yeah.
So maybe they have to go back and start with like what these things are, where they came from, how they started. I
appreciate that they kept those. They went with like M. Night Shyamalan Signs level on like keeping those things hidden from us for a really long time. Right. And I appreciate anytime a movie does that, because like the build is like the tension is a part of that experience. And a lot of times the payoff when you finally get to see the thing. Right. And so I think that this film really does deliver on all of those fronts. And have you ever seen John Krasinski in interviews talk about how he had to describe the monsters' movements to the people that were like making the animation? It's pretty interesting because he has to like imitate what he wanted them to do, how he wanted the creatures to move. And so I think he was like on Colbert or somebody. If you look up that interview, he like crawls across the stage like he wanted those monsters to crawl.
Oh God. So yeah, he's like trying to explain how he sees it in his head.
Yeah, right, exactly. Which is, I think, really cool that he has such a clear vision for this thing, because it's a movie that, I don't know, like it's a surprise when a movie like that gets made, and it's an even bigger surprise when a movie like that is as successful as it was.
Right, and who knew, seeing him on The Office for so many years, that he was just like that brilliant?
Yeah, I think the dude is incredibly brilliant, and I can't wait to see what else he does behind the camera. I mean, like clearly he's sort of doing this like action star thing, but I think his dramatic work is really good too, and I think he needs to lean into that too. I
know, right? I mean, he's really good on Jack Ryan. I've only watched a few episodes of that.
Yeah.
But like,
the dude,
he's pretty good. I mean,
even though like most of the work that he did on The Office was comedic, like there, you know, if you were a fan of The Office, then you definitely saw little glimpses of what he could do with more dramatic material on that show. And I think he's clearly a very talented actor and writer and director, and I'm just really excited. Yeah, I'm super excited for A Quiet Place too.
Excited for next year.
Oh man, so we're getting into this in one of our other segments and what all we were talking about. And honestly, I don't even know what is coming out next year, to be completely honest. One of the things that we're really pumped about is seeing the continued story of The Mandalorian and what's going on with Disney Plus, and a lot of the new Disney Plus shows that are going to be coming, you know, down the pike there. But we're really just like focused on wrapping this year up, and then, you know, the things that I'm excited about, I don't know where they are on the calendar. Does that make sense? Like, yeah. I'm excited about, like, I'm looking forward to Into the Spider-Verse too, but I'm pretty sure we won't get that for another year or two. So yeah, it's hard to say really what I'm excited about for next year, because one of the things that has struck me since I've started doing this is that since I've started doing the Plotaholics is that I've stopped looking forward as much because we have to talk about what happens like this week. And so I get so focused on just like the minutia of the week's happenings that I don't really look into the future that much, and not like I used to, you know?
Yeah, I got you.
Yeah, the biggest thing on my calendar right now is Rise of Skywalker, though, and that is this year. So, you know.
For 6 movies of Star Wars, and then I just lost interest. So I didn't get farther than, those Queen Amidala Star Wars movies.
Star Wars has been a real thing for me since I was a kid. Like it's a nostalgia-inducing property for me for sure. You know, like I remember going with my dad to the video warehouse and renting The Empire Strikes Back on Friday nights, and we would go, and he would not want to rent Star Wars again because we rented it all the time. And I would go through the video warehouse, and I'm like, I don't know, Dad, I don't like it the way any of these look. It looks like we're gonna have to get Star Wars again. And so, it was that whole thing, watching it with my dad, and then like I made, when I was a kid and I got like a video camera, I made my own Star Wars trilogy. So like it has like this real sort of like hold on my nostalgia, as a lot of these, we could talk a lot about how these corporations are essentially just repackaging our childhoods and selling them back to us at this point.
For sure.
And maybe not even our childhoods, just like our memories, right? Because even your Stephen King stuff is getting remade. So yeah, it's an interesting time for sure, because we've definitely reached peak remake, I think, and reboot. There's just not a ton of original stuff coming out, but what is encouraging is that when something original does come out, like A Quiet Place or Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, or even Good Boys and Booksmart, like people are paying attention to those things, and they are making money. So
I finally just watched Once Upon a Time in Hollywood yesterday.
Mm-hmm. What'd you think? I haven't seen that.
I really do wish that Quentin Tarantino's end of the movie was how that really went down.
Oh, really? I feel like we feel that way about a lot of the ends of Quentin Tarantino movies.
Oh, I know, for real.
Like Inglourious Bastards, if that had been the way that had gone down, I feel like that would probably be a good situation.
Right. I mean, his alternative universes to the past is like, it's like he lives on another plane, and this is what should have happened.
Yeah, I like that, and I do like Tarantino's work, and I need to watch Once Upon a Time in Hollywood for sure. Yeah, but you think it was worth it, huh? It's worth a watch.
Oh, for sure.
Awesome.
And I know a lot of people they complain like, oh, it was really boring until like the end of the movie. And I'm like, have you ever seen a Tarantino film?
I mean, Tarantino films are notoriously talky until the third act.
I'm like, that's kind of what he does. Like,
yeah,
he builds you to that last 15 minutes for a reason.
That's right. Well, Mary Jane, that is just about our time, but I want to thank you once again for hanging out, and I want to thank you for listening and supporting the Plotaholics over the last little bit, and thank you for making a little time to hang out and talk about your year in review.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me. I really had fun. I love doing this. I love watching movies, talking about them with people. That's what I get joy.
Absolutely. Well, and stick around, because I feel like in the future and moving forward, we're going to have more occasions for this kind of conversation with listeners of the show, because we do like the different perspectives that people bring in, So this as an experiment, I think, has gone very well so far. So look for more opportunities moving forward. But thank you again, Mary Jane. I hope you have a wonderful holiday.
I will. I wish you as well. If you want to roll by the house and have a beer, we have so much left over. Let me know. We'll watch something.
Yeah, good to know. In fact, we will be having our Friendsgiving here on Friday. So if you find yourself available on Friday, you roll through and we may watch something.
Sweet.
But we will talk to you again real soon, regardless.
All right.
But every movie has a plot hole, and every gets filled somehow with whiskey, wine, or blue milk. Just don't cut me off right now. We're the Plotaholics, a breakfast club of two. We're the Plotaholics.
All right. Hey, everybody. Welcome to another segment of this Plotaholics Thanksgiving special. Sadly, I am not with Brian at this particular moment, but I am happy to have old friend of the show, Katie Salidas, aka Captain Trainwreck.
Hey, what's up? How you doing?
I'm good. Katie, I feel like I would be remiss if I didn't, in the spirit of my co-host Brian Tan, call you Katie Salidas.
There you go. That's right. And if I ate more salad, I'd have less ass.
Well, and honestly, I can never tell if you're a fan of that nickname or not, or if it's just something that you endure, but that's probably a question for another day.
Yeah, you know what? It's one that it's funny enough that I can roll with it. Like, yeah. I think initially I was like, oh my God, but now it's just kind of, yeah, go for it.
Brian couldn't have possibly been the first person to say that to you, right?
No, it comes from the fact that any of those IVR automatic calls,
yeah,
when they say your name, they always mess it up. And the way the robot voice says it is salad ass. And I'm like, that's perfect.
Yeah. Knowing now that it comes from a robot makes it a little bit better, I think. If you've been a long-term follower of the Plotaholics, you'll remember that Katie sat in with us during our big Game of Thrones finale pre-show. Katie, we talked a lot about trying to get back together after the whole thing fell down and never really got that put together. So I know it's been several months, but what were your thoughts on the finale?
You know, by the end of it, I knew it was going to be a train wreck. And so I was kind of just there for the memes, which they delivered, man. The memes delivered.
Yeah. Now, I asked you for a handful of your favorite pop culture moments from the last year. Game of Thrones did not make the list, but the memes did. And I pulled a couple here, and I'm not sure that these will be any of your favorites, but these are pretty representative. You know, people tended to have more fun with the memes down the stretch than they did with the actual show.
Oh yeah, for at least a good week afterwards. It was lots of fresh, funny content, and it made it more enjoyable to watch the downfall of my favorite show by having something to laugh at.
Yeah, and so what do you, by your estimation, what went wrong in that final season?
It was all about rushing the plot and trying to make everyone happy.
Mm-hmm.
They basically, all of the character development that they had spent years and years and years working on, all the legends that they had built up, amounted to nothing at the end because they were rushing to a predetermined finish that they had. Whereas if they had given it time to really show us why the characters are making these bold and crazy decisions, or at least seems crazy at the time, we could have accepted them better. What they went for was, huge spectacle. And, I'm sure those episodes probably had ginormous budgets and they spent every dollar of them. They looked beautiful, but the story suffered for it. And that was where the disappointment came in.
So it sounds like your problem with the end of Game of Thrones wasn't so much the ending, it was how we got to the ending. Like, you would have been okay with the way things ended had they gotten there, like if they had paced it a little bit better.
Yeah, I mean, the ending to me didn't feel right. Like, I don't think that was the ending we should have gotten, but if that was the ending they were aiming for, they didn't give us enough development to get there believably.
Gotcha. And so instead of what I assume coming into 2019, you were looking forward to the last season of Game of Thrones. You're very excited. You assumed that it would be your pop culture story of the year, right? Like, this was your favorite show for so long, and now they're finally going to put a bow on this thing. But instead, you get stuck with with internet trolls taking what used to be your favorite show and making it into memes. It was memeified.
It was, but that's what made the ending so enjoyable, because as disappointed as I was in the way things turned out, the memes just kind of softened the blow.
Well, and I think that the how widespread the memes were during the season is also kind of a testament to what I saw Game of Thrones as, which is one of the last great communal viewing experiences that we have, where everybody was, at least a lot of people, millions of people were around their television sets at the same time, not just like any time on a Friday to watch The Mandalorian, but like at a specific time, and everybody was watching it at the same time for the most part.
Yeah, for the most part, we were all there. We were all live tweeting. We were all discussing for hours after the fact. I would pop onto Facebook and I would start up a thread, and it would run for hours after the show of people, dissecting different things, talking about what they liked, what they didn't like, what their theories were for the next episode. So you're right. There was a very big community element to it.
It reminded me a lot of the last show that I really remember having that kind of communal aspect was something like maybe Lost, where people were like getting together, and maybe that's just because Lost was one of the first shows that we got during this kind of social media age of the internet where people could do that online. But because of streaming and everything, that communal, like we all get together at the same time to watch the same thing, even if in our own homes, like that's kind of going away, which is maybe sad.
Yeah, kind of. But there are a lot of new things for us to watch, and there is a lot of flexibility now in watching things. Like you mentioned, The Mandalorian. Yeah. You can watch that when it goes live at a certain point, but you can watch it whenever you want to at that point afterwards.
Yeah, which is nice. But there's something I think about immediacy, right? Like having to be there when it goes live to be a part of that initial conversation. And we're going to talk more about The Mandalorian in a minute because, you've got something that you're looking forward to coming up in the next year. And I agree with you completely. So we will talk more about The Mandalorian in a minute. But let's pivot to your next pop culture story. And that is the Flurkin Goose from Captain Marvel.
Yes.
Talk about Goose.
The internet's all about cats.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just what it is. And when Goose basically stole the show during the movie. I liked Captain Marvel as a movie. I thought it was interesting, but the fact that the cat drew so much attention was great. And my daughter, her handle now on Roblox, which she plays, is Furious Flurkin. Nice. She chose that name.
Nice.
And so it's become an icon in our house, and I think it's adorable. And it just follows along with the internet is all about cats. And Goose he stole the show.
Yeah, and it's interesting because Goose became such a cornerstone of the marketing, but not in an overt way, right? Because the cat was just kind of in the trailers all along, and then anybody that's a major fan of Captain Marvel and the comics knows the Flurkin race and knows like that there's this potential that this is what's going on with the cat. And so in the nerddom part of the culture, like they really did get like kind of they really latched on to Goose as a potential for this. Now, that movie, not without its controversy with its star being as vocal as she is, but you liked the movie as a whole.
I did. I have to point out something too, because you said that they really didn't use him as much for the advertisement. But if you recall one of the trailers, they literally stop in the middle of the trailer. The whole action stops, and it's just Samuel L. Jackson petting the cat.
Absolutely. And so and I think maybe on the surface, you're like, oh, well, that's kind of a funny joke that, that he would just stop in the middle of everything and just pet this cat. But it does draw pretty clear attention to the cat, to Goose being an important character.
It does, and there's some great scenes in there where the cat's involved, and the facial expressions that are surrounding the cat and his true nature. I remember one of the Talos, I think, where he's just like.
Yeah, no, it was fun, and I thought that was a fun movie too. Now we just got news in the last week or so that there was a deleted scene from Age of Ultron that would have included Captain Marvel's appearance. First appearance in the MCU. Now, I don't know much else about that scene other than that, but I feel like that kind of changes the complexion of the whole thing if she's even just kind of a blip on the radar in that movie.
Interesting.
Just because I think a lot of the criticism that she got for her role in Endgame was like, well, she just showed up. She's not one of the Avengers,
She's overpowered is the problem.
Yeah, well, there's a big part of that, but Thanos and her, hand to hand,
they had a pretty good little knockdown there for
Yeah,
me.
that was good. The whole end battle in Marvel was just beautiful.
It really was.
It was great. Although there were many poster pose moments.
Yeah, right.
You kind of have to laugh at when you watch it the second time. You're like, oh my god, they just framed everybody so perfectly.
Yeah. Now Brian is a huge fan of Endgame, and I loved Endgame. I've yet to go back and watch it again since seeing it in the theater, and I've wanted to. I just haven't. It's not one of those things that's very pressing because I'm like, I've seen it, and I know that it warrants a second viewing, but I just haven't gotten around to it yet. But I think Brian said he's on his like 7th watch or something.
A lot of those movies, I think, especially in today's age, where we are so hypercritical of what we see, the entertainment that we're fed, I think sometimes it's better not going back and having that second or third viewing, because you're going to see all of the glaring plot holes that everybody has called out after the fact. Right. Whereas that first viewing, everything's new, it's fresh, it's exciting, it's beautiful. And you really, I think that first viewing, you really can appreciate everything. Whereas the next couple of viewings, you're going to start really picking things apart.
Yeah, that totally makes sense. And that brings us to the final thing that you identified as pop culture that you're thankful for this year. And that is Joaquin Phoenix's stare dance in The Joker. Talk about it.
Oh my God. Have you seen all the different memes that have gone on with that one where everyone's doing the dance?
You're thankful for memes.
I am thankful for memes. Yes.
I feel like we can all be thankful for memes. They do help the darkest timeline go down a little bit easier.
They do. And I watched the Joker movie. I went into it with certain expectations. I didn't expect it to be a comic book movie. I didn't expect it to be the Joker story that I have seen rehashed over and over again in Batman stories. So I knew going into it, it was going to be kind of a social critique. It was going to be a look into mental illness and the way society beats people down. So I knew it was going to be that dark, that depressing, the really hard to watch movie almost. Yeah. And that one scene where he's dancing down the stairs, it's just a beautiful moment.
To the Hey song, right?
I don't remember what song it was. I honestly can't remember the song, but I remember seeing that feeling of him dancing down the stairs at one moment of, empowerment almost before shit just, goes south, as it does.
Yeah. Now I love Joker. I thought it was a really great film. We found out this week that everything they told us about not making a sequel was a lie.
I follow the money. It's always follow the money.
And that bothers me. But also, my whole thought with Joker was, did this need to be a Joker movie? Like you said, you weren't expecting a comic book movie. Could this story have been maybe even more powerful had it been out from under the shadow of Batman?
That's a tough question. One of my biggest critiques about this movie that I wish they hadn't leaned so heavy into was the coming off the pills right around the moment of snapping. Right. Because to me, seeing somebody who's fighting the good fight every day and snapping because they've snapped is more powerful than I didn't take my pills and I snapped. Right. And I know mental illness is a very touchy subject, and I don't want to insult anybody. I don't want to have anything negative to say about that, but I just feel that part of the movie could have had a little bit more impact if, even with the pills, he snapped because of all the shit that was going on.
Yeah, I think that what makes the coming off the pills thing as powerful as it was is because he came off the pills not necessarily by his own choice, but because of the cutbacks to healthcare in Gotham City, specifically for mental health patients. So I thought in terms of social commentary, it was really interesting. But you're right, like that's also in films where someone does this kind of thing, it's a pretty common motif to have them like come off the pills and then all of this stuff happens. So.
Now, to the other side of your question, though, I think because it's a Batman movie, it's a Joker movie, it's a DC branded movie, I think that gives it more visibility. I don't think you could have put this movie out with a no-name character.
Right.
You put Joker on there, and people who are going to watch a comic book movie are going to pay attention.
Right.
And so I think you get more visibility doing this type of movie with that backing.
It reminded me in tone a lot of, and this is not new thought, this is not new commentary, but like Taxi Driver and Clockwork Orange, even like those kinds of really dark kind of like 70s films, you know, and
and it was hard to watch too at some point.
At times it really was. Yeah,
it was a brutal movie.
It really is, you know, it's weird to say. It's weird to even think of that film as a comic book movie, and at times I feel like the message gets a little lost in the mythos, especially with leaning so hard into the Wayne family stuff too. I feel like I would have been more okay with it if we could have ignored the Wayne family a bit more. I don't know. That's just me though. But I don't know.
I did like the whole him and young Batman, you know, young Bruce Wayne in that moment together. There was kind of it was a very innocent moment between the two of them where you know they will eventually become enemies.
Yeah.
And I liked that.
Right. Absolutely. I mean, I think that the movie's good. Don't get me wrong. I'm just I come out pretty squarely against origin stories in a lot of ways, because I feel like sometimes mysterious characters can be hurt by the origin story, right?
Yeah, that's true.
I feel like maybe the best example of the origin story that we didn't need is Solo. I did not need a Han Solo origin story,
but I did like it.
It wasn't bad. It was fun, but
yeah. It was a fun adventure, but you're right. We didn't need
just
it.
Been about like, honestly, I would have rather had a Donald Glover centric Lando Calrissian origin story.
He was really good in that role. I have to admit, I liked him in that role. I would see more of him there.
Yeah. Couple of things here you are looking forward to in the new year. Katie Salidas, this V War is coming to Netflix in the new year. Talk to me.
Oh my God, I'm so excited. Okay, so I'm always a big fan of vampire stories. Since I was a little girl, vampires have always been my favorite monster. And it's hard. It's hard in the media world to see a vampire story, you know, get a really good show and to see it last. I mean, there's some shows out there like Moonlight that I think had a good start, never got to get the second season. There was one based off of the role-playing game. I can't remember the name of it right now, but it seems like vampire stories in general fail a lot of the times, and a lot of them are really good. And so seeing a brand new one come out,
right?
What's that?
The most successful is probably Buffy, right? On television.
Buffy, and then oddly enough, the Vampire Diaries, which I was kind of surprised that one lasted as long as it did, because a lot of them don't get past the first or second season. So it was good to have that, but we haven't had a good vampire story in a long time. And this one isn't just a vampire story from anyone. This is from another author that I follow. So it's like, oh, this is even better to watch an author transition into having something on the small screen. So I'm so excited. I can't wait to see this go.
That's excellent. This vampire right here looks mean, man.
Yeah. He almost looks wolfish.
Yeah. Also, that dude, and I can't remember his name right now, the protagonist, looks like Zac Efron for some reason, like an older Zac Efron.
Oh
no! Only in that picture though, because I've seen other pictures and I'm like, no, maybe not.
Right. Now he also played in the Vampire Diaries, so it's kind of funny that he's in yet another vampire show.
Yeah. Well, he's found his niche, I guess, right?
Maybe.
Well, maybe that bodes well for its longevity too. Maybe he's the secret piece of the puzzle, the vampire puzzle.
You know what? Fingers crossed, because vampire shows have gotten the shaft over the years. I want to see something really good that lasts.
It's also both promising with a question mark that it's on Netflix, because you know, if Netflix decides that you're good, they can really put some oomph behind you. But they've been so quick to abandon some of their big shows in the last little bit that not to give you cause for concern there. But we also know that if they're going to continue to be a relevant player in the streaming wars, that they're going to have to start, you know, backing these big shows and sticking with them.
Well, another thing that Netflix is having to do now, and I've seen them start doing it with other shows, is they're no longer doing the binge release method. They're releasing in the trickle down, which I understand why they're doing it. And I think they're going to get a little bit of backlash from the longtime Netflixers who are used to binging. But yeah, to create that customer base that's going to stick with you for a while, you almost have to drip feed people these days.
Yeah, to keep them around, or people are going to get their start a new email address, start a 7-day free trial, and just binge the whole series and then shut it down.
I mean, that's kind of what I do with HBO. As soon as Game of Thrones ended, done.
Right. None of the new shows on HBO have you yet, huh?
Not really, no, but they do have some stuff coming out that looks interesting. But I'm not sure I want to subscribe yet for it.
Gotcha. Well, we have one last little story to talk about here, and by little I do mean little, but in a big way, and that is the emergence of Baby Yoda on The Mandalorian. Talk about the trickle down method of TV, right? We have to wait a week to get each of these episodes. Katie, talk to me about Baby Yoda.
Oh my God, he's just the cutest thing.
Yeah,
and to go back to my original love memes.
Yeah, right. Oh, he's been the center of several memes for sure, and they're pretty great.
The Gizmo one is my favorite, I think.
It's a good one.
Yeah. But he's just absolutely adorable. And the thing is, he's kind of like a surprise twist for, longtime Star Wars fans, because we've only ever had 2 that I can remember of that species, which doesn't even have a name.
Right.
There's no name for the species. So that's why everyone's calling him Baby Yoda, because that's all we know.
Right. And, what's wild about his being at the end of the first episode of The Mandalorian, which released last week, is that he was a surprise to everybody. And what struck me is 2 things. First of all, stores are going to be flooded with Baby Yoda for Christmas, starting probably next week.
Oh, my God. Yes.
How they kept this from leaking anywhere is wild to me. And, that's really the biggest takeaway for me. But the other thing is that this was the first time I noticed that news agencies or pop culture websites started posting about Baby Yoda immediately, and nobody was upset. Like this was the first time where something major was spoiled for a lot of people, and nobody cared.
Everyone loves him. He's so cute. Oh my God. They licensed to print money right there. As soon as I think probably Black Friday, the stores will be flooded. People will be beating each other up over Baby Yoda dolls.
Right before we came on, I saw something from, I think, comicbooknews.com or something like that had said that they had just finally announced that they were doing Baby Yoda merchandise. So you can look for that stuff definitely by Black Friday, which is at the time of recording a week from now. So give or take. So yeah, you're going to be in line to get some Baby Yoda merch.
I will want it, but I will not fight somebody for a Baby Yoda. That's because fair. That's not the Jedi way.
Yeah, let Amazon bring you the Baby Yoda.
Yes, exactly.
Well, Katie, tell us what you're working on. Tell us where people can find your work and all of that good stuff.
All right. Well, as of Thanksgiving, book 4 in my Agents of Asset series will be available. And I know this one has taken a year for me to get to, and I can give you a very good reason why. A lot of my readers expect at least 3 books a year from me, and I typically deliver that. Well, this year I have been working with a co-author to get a trilogy ready. And not only am I releasing book 4 in my Agents of Asset series this month, over the next 3 months, so December, January, and February, there will be a new trilogy by myself and author J.E. Taylor called the Running from the Devil series. And so I've got 4 books, 1, 2, 3, 4, over 4 months coming out.
That's intense.
Yeah. So you can find me online at katiesalidas.com or look me up on social media, any account by my name, and get a hold of me, find out what you want to find out about the books coming out.
That's right. And do keep in mind that her name is Katie Salidas and not Captain Trainwreck or any of the other things that you might hear her called on the street.
Yep.
Katie, thank you so much for being a part of the Plotaholics this year, and thanks for carving out a little bit of your time to hang out with us for the Thanksgiving special.
Hey, absolutely. Anytime. Let me know when you need me. I'll be here.
Absolutely. Thank you so much.
And happy Thanksgiving.
Yeah, happy Thanksgiving. And we will be right back.
But every movie has a plot hole, and every hole gets filled somehow with whiskey, wine, or blue milk. Just don't cut me off right now with a
It's time for another listener spotlight. And today, or I'm sorry, right now, we're bringing in listener Amanda. Amanda, welcome.
Hi.
Amanda has been with us for quite a while as well, listening to the podcast and contributing to the articles, the conversation happening over on the website. And we appreciate that. And we just wanted to give you an opportunity to come on and talk about your favorite things because you've listened to us talk about our favorite things for the last year. So welcome. What kind of plans do you have for Thanksgiving? I know you've got a big family over there. So what do you guys have going on?
My big family is actually not getting together at all.
Oh, yeah?
No, my parents are going camping.
Nice. Good for them.
In Florida. So I'm going to go have Chinese food with my sister.
Nice. I like that.
And that's it.
That's it. Hey, that is not a bad way to spend a day. You know?
It'll be good. My brother-in-law is making the Chinese food because he does not like spending money for things.
Well,
so we'll see how it goes.
Yeah. So have you ever had his Chinese food before? Is he good at it?
I have had it before. It is edible.
End of sentence.
It is edible, but I have learned how to make some really good egg rolls, so there will be something.
Oh. Well, there's that. I love a good egg roll. So excellent. So I asked Amanda, as I've asked everyone, to tell me what her favorite pop culture moments from the past year included, and these are the things that she gave to me. Is there anywhere you'd like to start in particular? No,
I can follow your lead.
Well, I would like for you to talk to me about the new Margaret Atwood novel, The Testaments. The Handmaid's Tale is having a real moment right now. And that is, we could probably have a whole other conversation about how we really wish that it wasn't having such a culturally relevant moment. But so you read this novel, you liked it?
I did read it. I read the first Handmaid's Tale a long time ago. And then the show came on, and I've been slightly obsessed with it since it came. And I know that this book is only coming about because of the TV show. I know she would not have written a sequel if it was not here making this entrance, but I am not mad about it.
Yeah. So a lot of these kinds of things that happen. A lot of sequels that happen because of the success of the original fail to meet up to the expectations, right? That we have based on our love for the original. But this one, you say, is as good, right? Or at least worthy.
It is worthy. It is. I mean, the worst Margaret Atwood novel is going to be better than most things in life.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so while, it's not The Handmaid's Tale, and as open as The Handmaid's Tale leaves, it answers all the questions you were thinking, but not really in the way that you're expecting. So all the things that I came accustomed to thinking over the years, it's not the same, and it didn't pan out at all the way I was thinking. And you can see how it meshes with the TV show. Like, it feeds off of it.
Yeah. I'm really not wanting to get into a very political conversation. Would it be Thanksgiving without that? Do you feel that The Testaments is very influenced by our current cultural climate? Or do you think that this sequel is specifically written because of the world that we live in? Or do you think that this is maybe the world that she envisioned for the sequel regardless?
It's hard to say, just because the original is so impactful and she wrote it in the 80s.
Yeah.
And she says that she doesn't write fiction.
Right.
She writes,
I think that checks out in some ways.
Like, she bases everything that happens, especially in this book, on things that have happened in the world. So nothing in this is pure fiction. She pulls different crazy things from different crazy aspects of different crazy parts of the world.
Yeah.
And meshes it all into one big pot. To make it real crazy.
This is a very surface level statement I'm about to make, but I love this cover. The original Handmaid's Tale, and I know that there have been several reprints of it, but the original cover just felt so muted compared to this. This is I like these colors. They pop.
They do. It is a very loud cover.
Yeah. Do you feel like this is the future Handmaid's uniform? Are they going to go lime green in the future and get away from the red?
I doubt it. I don't think.
Yeah. Right. Yeah, probably not. So let's see. Your next thing, you mentioned everything Stranger Things.
Yes.
So talk to me about Stranger Things.
Oh, I just love it so much. I love all of the nostalgia that's wrapped up in it, and the characters are so great, and everything is good about it. It zigs when you think it's gonna zag. Like, it just doesn't. It's always catching you off guard.
Yeah.
I could not watch it fast enough on the last season.
Yeah. So what's really great about your list of pop culture is that it is full of things that I have wanted so desperately to get to, but for whatever reason, I've only gotten just been able to scratch the surface of a lot of them. And Stranger Things is one of those things. Redundant, but it is true. I have only seen a little bit of the first season of Stranger Things, and I'm with you. I loved what I saw of it. I know, don't catch your breath. I loved what I saw of it, but I don't know. I didn't ride that train all the way to the end of the tracks, but I want to.
We need to stop the video right now, and you need to take some time.
Well,
get your priority straight.
I know. And even more than Stranger Things, I've watched more of The Good Place, which is your next item. Mm-hmm. And I like The Good Place probably more because I am absolutely with you in saying that Michael Schur is a genius. Yes. But again, it's one of those things that there's just so much stuff that at some point in the first season, I just came off of the rails with it, and I just haven't gone back yet. And I know, and you're talking to a guy that is in the middle of his 12th rewatch of The Office. Why not just go back and why not just watch The Good Place instead? You're
waiting. I understand. You're waiting until its finality so that you can binge the entire thing in one sitting, and I respect that.
Honestly, that is what I've told myself. I'm like, why would I even do it to myself at this point to binge everything that's available, knowing that then I have to wait week to week, Right. So I will get to The Good Place for sure, because I do believe that Michael Schur is a genius.
And he's a good person. He's genius and also good to his core. It feels like he brings out the best in everyone in every show.
And every show that he's created, that would be The Good Place, Parks and Rec, right?
Yeah, Brooklyn Nine-Nine.
And Brooklyn Nine-Nine.
And he has a new one, Sunnyside, I believe, is by him too.
Oh, okay. I know that he was attached to that as a producer, but I didn't. Maybe not. I'm not sure. I'm not sure that he's a creator. I'm not sure.
I haven't gotten into that one yet, so I'm not.
I haven't either. But I will say this for those other three is that there's such a big heart at the center of all three of those shows. Parks and Rec, a lot of people criticized when it first came on because they felt it was too similar to The Office. But I think as it grew up, especially by the second and third season, that show turned into something completely different from The Office. And the heart at the center of that show is just incredibly powerful and optimistic. The Office, I don't think, had that optimism.
No, it didn't. It centered around Michael being totally oblivious of his jerky side.
Yeah, right. Yeah, it was much more. It was much more cynical show.
I think most people were just fixated on the camera.
Yeah.
The way they use the camera, because Michael Schur was one of the very first people in television to use that. What is it called? The fake documentary?
Yeah, the mockumentary.
Mockumentary, yeah. And so when they recreated that in The Office, or in the Parks and Rec, all people saw was, oh, it's another mockumentary.
It's just like that, yeah.
But the only thing that was really the same about them was that it was at a place of work and it had the mockumentary style. But other than that.
Yeah, Michael Schur has got the workplace sitcom figured out for sure, because Brooklyn Nine-Nine is also excellent. But he also works with really great casts. All three of those shows have amazing casts, including The Good Place.
Right. And fun fact, he is insanely specific when he casts.
Yeah.
So for The Good Place, I listened to a podcast about The Good Place.
Tell me
Don't
about
judge
it. I'm not going to judge you.
But yeah, they had the casting director on, and she said whenever he gives a list of the cast people he wants, he said I want a Filipino American, like I mean, he was very I want a Iranian woman or Pakistani woman who is gorgeous but with a British accent. Like he's so specific that when they find people, and they just happen to be the most amazing people in the world.
Right. I heard a podcast, and it was an interview with Michael Schur, and he was talking about the same thing, about how specific he is when he starts doing casting and stuff. What was the name of that podcast? It was something like "I Think You're Interesting" or something like that.
Sounds accurate.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think he's interesting, so maybe I'm just projecting. But yeah, so The Good Place, excellent. Stranger Things. I mean, spoiler alerts ahead. Spoilers don't bother me, right? So, what are your projections for Stranger Things final season?
I don't know. I'm so conflicted because they obviously want you to think that Hopper's not dead, that he's the one that's in the room at the end, but I don't know how we could have survived that.
Yeah. I was thinking the other day, maybe the whole thing is a dream, but not from a person. Like, what if it's what if it's one of the monsters in the Upside Down having a nightmare about people?
I don't know if I like that.
I mean, ultimately,
I'm level with you. I don't think I like that.
Ultimately, I don't like any ending that ends in it was all a dream. Like, I think that's a terrible, because nothing makes me feel like I wasted my time more than someone waking up at the end of it and everybody's just like, oh, they got you.
I'm disappointed when I wake up from my dream sometime. I don't know what I've waited. And that was just one night.
I definitely don't want to spend 5 years in someone else's dream only to find out that, like, it's just some regular dude, like, that has to wake up now and go to work. Who just ate a bunch of candy and watched a bunch of 80s movies and fell asleep.
Yes, I need Winona to be real. I need her to be real.
I mean, I feel like we all need something to be real that isn't.
Right.
But something that is real that we all can appreciate is your final story from the past year, which is the fact that that a woman in Michigan memorized Patton Oswalt's Star Wars filibuster and used it in a real life council meeting. Talk about it.
I found out about it from a group on Facebook where we talk about how much we love Parks and Rec. And the girl comes on one day and she's like, guys.
Are you in waffle posting?
No.
Oh, that's the Parks and Rec group that I'm in on Facebook.
Oh, it is a different one. But anyway, she gets on and she was like, guys, I have this city council meeting that I'm going to go to, and it's ridiculous what they're doing in my town, and I have memorized Patton Oswalt.
No way, you know the actual woman?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I know of her. We're not like besties or anything. Wow. But she came on and she was like, I'm going to do this. I've memorized it. I'm going to come to my town meeting, and this is what we're going to do, and it's going to be amazing. Cross your fingers that I don't forget the words. And then she comes back and she was like, I did it. It was amazing. Here's the article. And then she met Patton Oswalt. He came to her town and she met Patton Oswalt, and he signed a copy of Michelle McNamara's book for her.
That's amazing. That's a great story.
It was epic. I feel pretty awesome to slightly kind of know her.
Right. Like to even be even remotely that close to her, even virtually, is pretty awesome. Because you had a heads up before it even happened. Everybody else just had to find out about it on Nerdist.com.
Right.
You know, but you were right there in the Parks and Rec Facebook group. That is awesome. And not only that, but that is an amazing filibuster. Like that entire speech, the full length version of that clip, if anyone hasn't seen it, you owe it to yourself. It's a better movie than we've gotten from Marvel or Star Wars, maybe ever.
Honestly.
It would have been an excellent replacement for Endgame.
Yeah. She even tried to get him to do a filibuster off with her in person, and he was like, I don't remember that.
I feel like he made it all up on the fly. You know, like I felt like a lot of that.
I won't be surprised. Those are some entries from his diaries.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I feel like he maybe had sort of the beats of it all memorized, but I think that he just kind of his way through most of that, because you can sort of tell in the extended version where where Amy Poehler will try to interrupt him and stuff, that it's all very loose, you know.
Right.
And I was always struck by the extras in that scene, like the people in the audience behind him, and how did they not crack up at all the whole time? Like, they were just like, yes, yeah.
They had the real professionals come out for that.
Yeah, absolutely, they did. And finally, we asked, what is Amanda looking forward to in the new year? And she said that she does not even know what she's looking forward to next week, but she was excited about the Mulan live action remake. And you say also that you're kind of tired of the remakes in general, but you're here for this one.
Yeah, I don't like it when they basically regurgitate an animated film. I don't care for that.
How can
I'll
we
just
have?
watch the animated film.
Will you entertain a tangent for a moment?
Ugh, gladly.
So, have you seen the other live action remakes that Disney has forced upon us in the last year?
I
That
have
would
seen
be.
some. I have not seen. I did not see The Lion King because
Okay.
I was not interested at all.
So I watched half of The Lion King, and I was just, it was so off-putting how realistic they looked. And, you know, like when your animal looks that realistic, animal mouths can't make the sound, like can't make the shapes that people mouths can make.
Well, and they're just not as cute.
Right, they can't emote the same way, right? Like you don't get the
not
sad-
jungle animals anyway. Let's say Lady and Tramp, which I haven't watched either. They're at least adorable little puppies. I mean, everybody loves a good puppy.
Yeah, Lady and the Tramp was better than The Lion King. Lion King, the voice talent in The Lion King saved it for me at times, but not enough for me to finish it, obviously.
Right.
Now, Aladdin, I thought was a lot of fun.
That's good.
Yeah, it was fun.
I haven't seen it either.
It was fun. It was fun. You know, it was fun. But yeah, so you're here for Mulan. Were you just like a big fan of the original animated?
I do love the original. I am a sucker for a plot line that doesn't have a romantic ending.
Yeah, I got
Especially when it centers around a female character. I kind of got mad at Frozen when I was like, did you really you had to put that Kristoff in the end? Like, why can't she just not end up with somebody? But that's a whole feminist tangent of my own. But I love Mulan. I like how empowering she is and how awesome she is. And when they were doing the remake, and everybody was so mad that they don't have Mushu in it.
Yeah.
But it looks like it's such a good movie. It looks so good. Sure, they're not going to sing songs, but she looks totally bad. Yeah,
and honestly, like I wish in a lot of these remakes, I think that they should get rid of some of the like musical numbers. Because if you're going like hyper realistic in some of the remakes, then like, you know, people don't sing out there in the real. And you and I were in musicals together, and we know that this is ridiculous.
Yes.
You know?
Yes.
How many people in your real life, since we were in college together, how many people just break out in random songs that you don't know?
I probably do way too often. But
yeah, well, ditto, actually.
That is neither here nor there.
Yeah, it's something that the people in my life have to get used to. But, you know, do you guys have Disney Plus?
We do. Jared signed up for it long time ago.
So you should do yourself a favor, and this is going to be probably surprising that I'm going to recommend this, but you should really consider watching High School Musical, the series.
I'm kind of judging you right now.
You should, because High School Musical, the series is really interesting because it's about the high school where they filmed High School Musical, and it's staging a stage production of High School Musical.
But is it like it's a show? It's a totally fictional show, though. It's not like reality television.
It's like Glee meets The Office because it's filmed like a mockumentary. It's just kind of interesting.
I'll give you an episode. I'll give you like one.
Give me an episode. It surprised me, is all. And the other thing that I'm saying here is like, is it great? No. But is it something to watch while you're waiting on the next episode of The Mandalorian? Yes.
See, I am. Jared's watching it without me because I don't care enough.
Well, but Baby Yoda.
I've seen pictures, and it's not even real Yoda. I got so confused. Like, wait a minute. How is there a baby Yoda when he's supposed to be like 600 years old? And
Well, I mean, that's
Jared
pretty
said,
judgy,
hush
but-
now, you ignorant girl.
Yeah. Well, I guess maybe you should just stick with your Michael Schur properties.
I shall.
Yeah. Well, and those you could do much worse. That's for sure. But that I think is going to just about do it for us, Amanda. Thank you so much for hanging out. And I'm sorry that Brian couldn't be here to hang out with us as well. But he said that he didn't like you.
Well, you know what?
I'm really just kidding.
If you do
Clearly.
the tangents I give back to Brian during the podcast that you guys release.
Yeah.
Oh, I love a good Brian tangent.
Oh, those Brian tangents are just like, man, sometimes I can't even follow him down those holes.
He has so many feelings.
He really does have feelings. He does. He has caught a bunch of them over the years for sure. But thank you again for supporting us and being a part of the conversation as often as you are. And I hope that you enjoy your homemade Chinese food and that it doesn't make you sick. And we will talk to you again real soon, Amanda.
Okay. See ya.
But every movie has a plot hole, and every hole gets filled somehow with whiskey, wine, or blue milk. Just don't cut me off right now with a
Hey everybody, welcome to yet another segment of the Plotaholics Thanksgiving special that we are calling something that it's a very long title and I can't remember the name of it right now. So that's what happens, the longer that the Thanksgiving day goes on, the more you spend with your relatives, the more you have to drink because Uncle Nino is bringing up Trump over cranberry sauce and now you got a whole situation on your hands. But without further ado, I'd like to bring in friend of the show and the honorary third Plotaholic, Joe Compton. Joe, welcome.
Thank you for having me, Shane.
Joe, we are sad because the only time we could really get you in here was during a time that Brian wasn't able to record.
Yeah.
And so there is an absence here at the time. But regardless, it is, if there's going to be a time that Brian can't be here, at least it's when the third Plotaholic can be here. So,
well, I don't even come close to filling Brian Tan's shoes, but I will. I'll fill one sleeve of his jacket. How about
there
that?
There you go. Joe, you were one of our earliest and staunchest supporters here at the Plotaholics, and we wanted to extend a very gracious thank you for all of the support that you've shown us in our first year on the air. So thank you, Joe.
Oh, you're welcome. It's a wonderful show. I really love it. I love listening to people break movies down. I think it's one of my deepest passions. I love watching like DVD commentary. I'm that guy I'll even watch the movie with the DVD commentary before I've even seen the movie before, just to get perspective that I've never had before. It's very cool. I love the insight that you guys provide. It's really I can't say enough good things about the show. I really do think
people they'll come for the insight, but they'll stick around for the shenanigans.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you two are so clever. It's really easy to fall in love with just your personalities. But I do believe that you do have some incredibly insightful and interesting takes. Especially because they're movies I've seen, so right. I have a perspective and I have an introspection on it, and to be validated sometimes, or to be just astonished and just go, wow,
the challenge, right? I mean,
like I never thought of it that way.
Joe and I have been talking off air this week a little bit about the Lost Boys, and how I'm wrong about it, but. I still maintain that Joe told me that I was right about a lot of things in that conversation. Mostly that there are too many white people in that movie.
Yeah, so. I defended that a little bit, but I'm not going to defend it to the point where it's not a political thing. It's
not a political thing
or a racial thing. Even I agree with you on that aspect of it, but I think the location does play a part in why that is the case.
Absolutely. But we do appreciate, Joe. You know, I was talking with Katie in an earlier segment, Katie Salidas, about how many of us know each other as a result of either you or Josh Robertson.
Yeah.
And so, you know, you provide a great service, and we'll talk a little bit more about that as we go along here. But I asked Joe to tell me what pieces of pop culture he is most thankful for from 2019. And I want to start with one of my favorites as well, and that is the film Booksmart. Joe, talk to me about it.
Yeah, I think first and foremost, we're in an age where women are starting to really shine as behind the camera and involved in the movie process that I think it's been long overdue. And we're getting a perspective that I think we've needed in this culture and this society for so long. And Olivia Wilde, I think, for a first-time director, for somebody who has the perspective that she has, gives us something so intelligent, so mind-blowing as this movie. I mean, this movie is a cultural phenomenon, in my personal opinion. I think that it brings so much to like a Fast Times or even a Superbad kind of feel that it changes the whole dynamic of why it's important.
And I think it's a movie that, for whatever reason, didn't get the marketing push that it deserved. And I think that for that reason, it's a movie that people will discover over time. It is absolutely a masterpiece.
Yes.
And so as it sits on the shelf and it sits on the streaming services over the next little bit, people will discover it and it'll have a second life.
I totally agree. And I think that I think it got buried because just the summer blockbusters that it was up against were just so mad.
I'm sure that it released Labor Day weekend.
I think it released during Avengers time frame.
It did release during that for sure. And I would say that the cast too, like these girls are so charming.
Absolutely, 100%. I think I'm pulling up the IMDb because I don't want to get it wrong. I'm doing my best Brian Tan right now.
There you go. Yeah.
But there is a performance. You guys always like to talk about who the MVP is, and for me personally, I believe that the MVP of this movie was. Hang on a second. Let me see. I'm sorry.
I know what my opinion is.
Give dead air here, but Billy Lord. Billy Lord is my MVP of this movie. Gigi is the quintessential Spicoli. She's the McLovin. I
completely agree with you. That's what I was going to say. And I'm pretty sure I said that even on an episode of Plotaholics Live at some point.
I know. That's why I wanted to talk to you about it specifically, because I remember you talking. I think you mentioned it during the first John Cusack one, if I'm not mistaken. So.
Yeah, that could be true. Yeah, this movie is charming and funny and smart, and it is so grounded in a very it is a lot like Superbad, because the characters are they're all three-dimensional, they're all complex. You don't get any stereotypes here. And anytime you think the movie's feeding you a stereotype, then it's getting ready to subvert that in a pretty major way.
That is the brilliance of it, right? That to me is the difference that makes it unique, is because it does that. I hadn't experienced that before, and I thought
because you have like the jock, right?
Right.
And whenever you get to know the jock, you're like, this dude isn't anything like any jock that I've ever seen,
Right.
So yeah, I think this movie is fantastic, and anyone who hasn't seen it absolutely should. It would be on my list of pop culture I'm thankful for this year as well. Absolutely.
Yeah, it's certainly in my top 10 for this year, for absolutely no doubt about it.
Yeah, it's so clever, and the soundtrack is a banger.
Absolutely.
So good. My introduction to Lizzo actually came off of the Booksmart soundtrack. She has that song "Boys" that plays in the beginning when the two girls are like dancing in the street, it's so funny, and again, super charming. Joe's next thing that he's thankful for hasn't even happened yet. But I think that I'm going to be on board with it, and that is, of course, the forthcoming Star Wars, The Rise of Skywalker. Talk to me about it, Joe.
I'm thankful that finally we get an ending. This is the longest running cliffhanger in the history of cliffhangers ever. I mean, I'm really thankful that finally we're going to put this all to bed. I'm optimistic. I'm going to stay optimistic. I don't care what anybody says. I'm going to stay optimistic about this because I think that J.J. Abrams, for all his shortcomings with all the other things he's destroyed or rebooted or tried to, latch onto, this is the one thing I think he has a really good concept and grasp of. And
I agree. Well, and I think that a lot of that has to do with the fact that even in his reboots or his take on Star Trek, it felt more like a Star Wars film.
Yeah.
Like he is a Star Wars fanboy, and so he understands the mythology of all of it.
I agree. And I think he also understands the sentiment of it. He understands the cadence, the pacing. And there's never been a series like this. I mean, Avengers has a lot of theories and a lot of we did a whole show about theories and stuff like that, but nothing like Star Wars. Star Wars has ethereal theories that can go a million different ways and could have alternate universes and alternate endings.
And what's so wild about the Star Wars thing? So Avengers is the way that it is, and it's, if you talk about MCU only, then you're talking about 10 years worth of material.
Yeah.
If you talk about the comics, then it goes forever. Now, what happens with Disney and Star Wars is that Disney claims to have erased just years and years of extended universe material and a ton of those theories. And they, the butthurt is strong with a lot of the fan base over that stuff. Now, you say that they're going to finally put it all to bed. I would counter with, if the Emperor comes back from what we saw him die of before, can you ever really put him to bed?
Well, the Emperor might be that gem that just keeps on giving beyond it. But this will, I just know it in my heart, this will end the Skywalker.
Yeah, well, that's sort of the thing, right? That it ends the Skywalker saga for sure.
Mm-hmm. And I don't think it's going to end the way that Rogue One ended, where everybody just perishes and that's how it ends.
That's one of my favorites.
I think there is more to it than that, but I do think that even if Rey and Poe and all these guys continue on into new universes and new storylines, this particular storyline that has been emulating and fostering for decades now is finally going to be finished. And I think I have all the confidence in the world that's going to be the case. And that would be the only thing that would destroy me ultimately, would be if it doesn't finish, if it just lingers and doesn't get the conclusion. If it becomes The Sopranos all of a sudden, then you're going to lose me. But that's the only way you're going to lose me.
If it goes to black at the end and Don't Stop Believing starts playing, I mean, like, I would have myself a pretty solid chuckle in the theater,
But then you would be pissed an hour later.
A little bit later, I would be like, "Oh, J.J. Abrams." So I've been told that I need to make known my one of my theories somewhere on the Plotaholics about this stuff. And so I feel like this is as good a time as any to bring this up.
All right.
So you're gonna have to follow me down the rabbit hole for a minute.
I'm listening.
So, as we all know, people who are particularly strong in the Force, have you ever heard the story of Darth Plagueis?
Sure, yeah, of course.
Yeah, they have the capacity to create life, right?
Right.
And to save life and whatever. And so we also know that Anakin, in a lot of ways,
I think I already know what your theory is. I can smell it.
Okay. I might throw you a curveball.
All right.
Yeah. So Anakin was a virgin birth. He was created by Palpatine, as we know, right? And so the theory that has been floated is that Palpatine also created Rey, and that she was meant to be his. That she was meant to bring the balance, right? That Anakin couldn't deliver on. Now, something that we haven't really talked about is, are there people on the light side of the Force that are powerful enough to create life? And if that is the case, could it be, Joe, that before he died in Return of the Jedi, that Yoda created life?
Nice.
And could it be a baby Yoda versus Dark Rey finale?
Oh, you got me good there. That's pretty funny.
Well, I mean, so I do think that there is something to be said for, like, did Yoda create a contingency plan?
Yeah, I'm not so sure if it's Yoda that thought that far ahead.
Interesting.
I think that Luke and Leia play. I think Leia plays a huge role in this, even though we all know that it's posthumous in nature. Right. Just
we do know, though. For now, we know that she was supposed to be the last Jedi.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think that her and Luke thought this through, and I think we may see a flashback scene where right after the celebration at the Ewok village, where we get some idea of what their plan really was. I think that Ben is a tool, and I think that Finn is a tool, and I think that the idea that Rey might be a clone of a clone of a clone of a clone may not be that far fetched.
Yeah, I worry a little bit with, like, the tool thing. Like, you get into this, like, who's pulling the puppet strings thing, because at some point, if everybody is a tool, then nothing really matters, right? Because then, like, you know what I mean? Then none of them really have free will, and what have we been wasting our out?
But isn't that the definition of insanity in terms of a madman's creation, right? I mean, that is Palpatine. His whole thing is he wants to be that center. He wants to be the sun in the universe. So if he's constantly creating tools around him, they're going to blindly follow him. That's his hope, and that he raises up and becomes the sun that he always thinks he's going to be. And I think that's where maybe Palpatine plays a role in this. I'm not sure. I mean, I've heard all about the clouds and the creation, and that he can manifest matter into matter, and that we may not see Palpatine in the physical form like we're used to, but
in the trailers, it looks like we do see him. And of course, we know that Disney misdirects us a lot when it comes to these things. And it could just be some sort of a vision.
And J.J. Abrams himself has said that you haven't seen anything that's really going on in the trailer, in the movie. Although Daisy Ridley combats that and says everything you need to know is in the trailer.
Right.
So, I mean, I don't know who's trying to play who here, but
the accurate thing you've said is that Kylo Ren is a tool.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I think he's just a mark. He's just Darth Maul. He's just Qui-Gon Jinn. He's these guys that are leading. They know their role. I mean, Ben may be less accepting of it than anybody has ever been. I'm sorry, I keep calling him Kylo Ren. May be less accepting of it.
I know what you mean, though.
Yeah, I mean, Kylo Ren may be less accepting of it than anybody's ever been in that role.
Yeah,
but Finn seems to start to embrace it, and I think that's where this may change the whole dynamic. I think Finn is the cog in the wheel that's going to make the wheel run one way or the other. I think Finn is a huge part of this time around, and I believe that Leia sets the groundwork and Finn finishes the job. And that's how I look at it.
I like I like the idea that Finn is sort of the guy, because the new trilogy opened with Finn, and that would be
and his awakening, right? He woke, right? Yeah. So I think there's got to be more to that.
Well, and there's also there's been a through line in these movies that anyone can be force sensitive. You don't have to be a chosen one, right? That was something that Rian Johnson was criticized for, but it could very well be that JJ laid the seeds for that from the very beginning.
Yeah, I think this is why I think Rian Johnson's unfairly vilified here. It's because this is J.J. Abrams' baby. Yeah. J.J. Abrams has fired people. He fired Carl Tremone. He's fired a bunch of people on this journey, just because they didn't see eye to eye.
Right.
He would have fired. I think he would have fired Rian Johnson and took over reins if he felt like Rian Johnson wasn't going in the direction that he wanted to go. I think he wanted to follow the pattern that has been set, and that you go light, dark, light.
Yeah.
And I think that's always been the trilogy pattern. And I think that Rian Johnson is the perfect guy to go dark. And I think he just didn't go dark the way everybody wanted him to. He used some filmmaking devices and his own ingenuity and his own ideas of how to make a film, and that pissed people off. And I think he's been unfairly vilified for that. And I think he's going to be back to what he does best when Knives Out comes out. But I just think the fandom is just crazy stupid.
Yeah, well, I do wish there's a part of me that wishes that Rian Johnson had gone as dark as he could have gone.
Yeah,
because there was a moment with like burn the past down, sort of like let's start a new thing. Yeah, man, I was like, let's do this. So like let's get Kylo and Rey on the same side, and like let's just burn all of this other bullshit to the ground and start from scratch. Man, I was there for that. And if he had done that, like, what do you even do in the third part? Like, like he did backtrack enough at the end of that movie where JJ could come in and finish it the way that it is supposed to be finished.
And I think when you look at it at the end of it, and when you step back after 5 or 10 years, like we've kind of stepped back a little bit on the prequels, and it's in our hatred or our disdain for it has kind of softened. At least in my mind, it's softened.
Yeah, mine too.
And I think when you look back at what Rian Johnson did, you're going to be thankful for the things he sets up, because I think he sets up a lot more than just what's going on in the Skywalker trilogy.
Yeah, I mean, imagine being those guys when The Empire Strikes Back came out. We just didn't have the internet like to catalog all of their like short-sighted opinions, But I mean, the Last Jedi is one of my favorite of the whole saga. I think it's awesome.
I will I think it's awesome. I think it has some problems. I think it's
it has problems.
For me right now, of the 8 movies that we've seen, I really, and I might be alone on this, but I really think The Force Awakens is the best one so far.
The best one, wow, it is good. I think Empire. I mean, I'm of the classic. Like Empire is one of the best.
Empire is great, but people don't remember that Empire had a really slow start. I really felt like Empire started slow, very slowly. And until you get to Dagobah, and even some parts of Dagobah, I think are really slow.
Yeah, I was a big fan of the Battle of Hoth as a kid.
Mm-hmm. I mean, it was cool, but it didn't have. It was after once he gets mauled by the creature and all that. I think there's just those little dull moments.
Yeah, you're right. Like the first 20 minutes of that thing, like the probe droids and everything is pretty slow. Yeah. But yeah, man, I like The Last Jedi a lot. And yeah, you're right. It's not without its problems, but I like anytime a filmmaker takes a risk.
Yeah.
And does something interesting. Like he doesn't play by the same rule book. And I think that like there's something to be said about that movie in those regards.
And to throw it full circle, that's what Olivia Wilde has done with Booksmart. She's thrown caution to the wind. She's taken a trope and a style of film that is very familiar and turned it on its head. And I think that's what makes that movie so uniquely beautiful and different. And I think it's like we said, just when you think you figured it out, she throws a curveball at you. And she does it with such panache and style that I'm really looking forward to her directing lifestyle. I hope she continues to direct films. I mean, she's a good actor. I wouldn't put her on the great scale. She's had some moments that are great.
She's a director, though.
But she's a great director. And I think I would look forward to seeing hundreds and hundreds of her films, if she so chose to do that.
Absolutely. Joe, the third thing that you said you were thankful for this year was getting to meet some of your internet friends.
Yes.
Live.
That was a great time.
That's right. Yeah. So you met me and JD down in Atlanta for Dragon Con. Well, you were there for Dragon Con.
Yeah.
It's Joe, we've known each other for probably 4 or 5 years at this point.
Yes, sir.
Pretty wild.
It is pretty wild. And it was like it was just like it's like hanging out like we've hung out 100,000 times before. So it was.
Well, we have hung out a lot. It's just been on the internet, you know.
Yeah.
You know, the support that you have given me as an individual artist, as a writer, and everything is you know, I can't really say enough for what you've done for me, and I know that Brian would say the same on his end. So it was a pleasure to meet you as well. And anytime you're in the Southeast, you've got a couch to stay on.
Thank you, man.
Or a pull-out couch or a floor or something. You know, we'll figure it out.
Yeah. I definitely think there's more meetings between us in the future.
Yeah.
I mean, we're going to see each other in April. At least I think we are. I haven't got an invitation yet, Mr. Tan. How about
that? Yeah, Brian, I haven't got one either. If we don't get invited, Joe, if we don't get invited to Brian's wedding, we'll meet at a neutral site and we'll do a Plotaholics live from like Dallas, Texas, or something.
Awesome. I'm in.
Now, Joe, you got a couple of things you're looking forward to. Big news: the sequel to Amongst the Killing.
Yes, sir.
Finally coming out. What has it been now? 30 years?
Yes. No, it's 5 years, but yeah, close enough.
Not as long as we've known each other.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, 5 years.
So Joe's looking forward to it. What is the title of the new one?
It's called We the Moral Majority.
We the Moral Majority. And when can we look forward to that release?
It will come out in March of 2020. I believe the date is actually March 13th, but don't quote me on that. It's close to there. It's around there. But it's March 2020 for sure. I was just actually working on it before we got here and talking to my editor about it. So, yeah, I think...
what does it mean to you to finally have this next book this close to being released?
Well, you know me, so you know that I've had trials and tribulations with creating this thing. Right. And had all kinds of issues doing this. I had sophomore-itis, I guess sophomore slump, I don't know, whatever you call it. But I really had a hard time getting into it and producing it and putting it all together at the end. But at the end, I just needed somebody to push me along. And thanks to Rebecca Jonesy, who was that person, she found where I was going wrong and kind of got me on the right track, and I've been on the right track ever since, and now we're into publishing it, so I'm real excited about that.
Awesome. And finally, you say you look forward to meeting more indie artists in the future. With
let's do it.
Your very own brand, Go Indie Now, which is, man, I don't even know how you create so much content, because like we do not even a fraction of what you do over at Go Indie Now, and it is exhausting.
It's exhausting for me too, but you know, I do it because I love to do it. It's something I really love to do, so I just keep doing it. I have a belief and a goal and a plan, and I'm just sticking to that right now, and we'll see how far that takes me or doesn't take me, but that's all I'm doing, and so I'm. It's all part of that. It's all part of the Master Jedi plan that I have, and
it's a great brand.
It takes me 45 years to do it. It takes me 45 years to do it.
So. That's a great brand, and it's a great mission, and I value the work that you do over there, because, like I said, there are a lot of people that I count as very good friends of mine that I would not even know if it weren't for the work that you do over at Go Indie Now. So. Go Indie Now is some of the pop culture that I'm thankful for 2019 and for the last 4 or 5 years in inclusive. So, Joe, thank you so much. And Joe is going to be back with us in a couple of weeks for our Star Wars retrospective.
Yeah, we kind of gave a nice little taste of what's to come. So
that's right. Yeah. So you guys can look forward to an announcement for a very special Plotaholics Live for the Star Wars, the lead up to Rise of Skywalker. And Joe, thank you so much. Happy Thanksgiving.
Thank you, sir. You too. Happy Thanksgiving to you and yours, and to everybody out there.
Absolutely. And we will talk to you again real soon.
Thank you, sir.
All right. Well, what a ton of fun that was, Brian.
I'm already drunk. I'm drunk. I'm ready for Thanksgiving.
Absolutely. We had Minda, the funeral services director, in there.
The slab.
We had, yep. We got to talk. I got to talk to Brian a little bit more about how many bodies he's seen on the slab. And then, of course, Mary Jane is in the mix there. Mary Jane, Mary Jane, who was a huge supporter of our Summer of Cusack.
Absolutely.
Who met John Cusack, et cetera, et cetera.
Jelly of her, straight
Absolutely.
up jelly.
Yeah, and
well, you know what makes me even more jealous is that I had the opportunity to meet John Cusack, but no, I had to go and meet Ron Perlman.
And then
angry grandpa.
We also had Amanda in the mix. Amanda raising her little group of Jedis there in Georgia. And then finally friends of the show, Joe Compton and Katie Salidas. So it was a great day to be a Plotaholic, Brian.
It really is. And, you know, here we are, month 8 of this amazing ride that we've been on, and there is no end in sight.
That's right.
We're going to be getting ready. We're going to start setting up our schedule for the first quarter of 2020. And then quarter 2 of 2020 is going to begin with my nuptials and our special episode where we'll be
in the same place together.
Yeah, we're going to be together doing it. We've actually we've got the hall all set for the rehearsal dinner for us to do our Wedding Crashers episode, which is going to be awesome. Yeah. Basically, we're going to be doing a potluck style, or maybe like a sandwich buffet. So, you know, but that's going to be the rehearsal dinner.
Gotcha. And then after that, we do a screening and a live episode.
Or you can be doing the screening while I'm doing the rehearsal.
Do we have a location for the screening and episode yet?
Yeah, I believe so. It's tentative, but basically you're going to be in the same place. You're just going to be in like another room over.
Got it. Love it. So more details on the first Plotaholics live coming
on location.
That's right. We'll have to figure out what we're going to do in terms of like tickets and things like that, like who all is going to be welcome to this particular event.
Yeah, because it's going to be like I said, the nuptials. We're going to be doing this episode from my rehearsal dinner.
Yeah,
and then Joe Compton and Katie Salidas are going to be the commentators.
Yeah.
Matter of fact, you probably jump in there too as like a third member of the team.
Yeah, probably. I'll be like on the field, the roving reporter.
I can see Joe Compton being the John Madden with the Compton Strader.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. And then I'll just be like on the dance floor with my phone. Like, we're here live from the dance floor, Joe.
Brian just broke his ankle doing the electric slide. Oh no, they're bringing out the cart.
Everyone's taking a knee.
Oh, I didn't get a chance to tell you. Now, what's cool, now you know this is going to be like a Disney Marvel theme wedding. When we are being announced, when the wedding party is being announced, we're actually going to come out to the Avengers theme.
Love it. I love it.
I know it's going to be awesome.
Well, I still fully intend on coming as Professor Thanos.
Yes.
So
I love it. Yes. Cosplay is welcome. I don't care what anybody says, man. I want everyone to just dress up and have a damn good time.
Yeah. I might be the only purple person there, but
yeah, but you know what? That's okay, because that just means you're unique.
That's right. That's right. You know, I think that's probably a good thing.
Oh, yeah. That's not a bad thing. That's a good thing.
That's right. Well, everybody, we're going to wrap things up here on this end. I hope that everybody has an excellent Thanksgiving and the rest of your holiday season is also equally amazing. We are not taking a week off. Hashtag team no sleep. We will have new episodes of the podcast all the way through the first of the year. So keep tuning in. And in a couple of weeks, we will have another Plotaholics Live special edition with the great Joe Compton, to cover all of our pre-Star Wars Episode 9 thoughts. So
I think that means that I am going to have to go from Episode 1, The Phantom Menace, all the way to Last Jedi.
Well, you better get started.
Hey, I got Disney Plus and Blu-rays.
There you
I
go.
can do this.
Done and done. Well, everybody, we will see you guys again real soon. Happy Thanksgiving. And,
Happy Thanksgiving, guys.
We'll talk to you soon.
But every movie has a plot hole, and every hole gets filled somehow with whiskey, wine, or blue milk. Just don't cut me off right now. We're the Plotaholics, a breakfast club of two. We're the Plotaholics, ripping plots apart for you.
Yeah, well, that's just like your opinion, man.